It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. To the hardwood, number 13 Tennessee overcame a slow start to win at Georgia 75-68. Josiah Jordan James, a career-high 23 points. Kennedy Chandler had 16 points with 4 steals for the Vols, who are currently tied for second place in the SEC with Kentucky. Florida scored the last 9 points of the game to beat Vanderbilt 82-78 last night at Memorial Gym. Flanders Fleming Jr. made a three-pointer with 6.3 seconds remaining. That helped the Gators to the win. And Major League Baseball has canceled opening day, scrapping regular season games over a labor dispute for the first time in 27 years. Commissioner Rob Manfred canceled the first 2 series for each of the 30 teams, cutting each club's schedule from 162 games to at most 156. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart and Ramon. 104.5 The Zone. Midweek time. 4 hours from now-ish. A little short of 4 hours from now, we'll get a motivation. And we can use it. The Vols got the win last night. Not exactly the prettiest thing you'll ever see. Georgia played them tough. And look, that kind of thing's going to happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Still got the victory.
Still got the dub. Talent took over then and overall team.
It was a nice night for Josiah Jordan James.
Yeah.
22 points. Made a couple of nice free throws late in the game as well. But Georgia played him hard. But Georgia, we were watching Abby's like, how can they be this bad at basketball? It's like, I'm really not sure how they can be this bad. It's like their football school. She goes, so is Tennessee? I said, they haven't been for about 5 years.
Hey. That was unwarranted, Jay. You need to be a little bit better than that, okay?
It's totally true.
Yeah.
They haven't been a football school for a while now. They're starting to turn that back, but which program's been in better shape? It's not even arguable.
Georgia has.
No.
What are you talking about?
Between football and basketball and Knoxville. It's not close.
Basketball has, but who generates the more boat?
Tennessee.
The most buzz.
Well, of course.
Hasn't been a football school for at least a decade.
Hey, I'm not going to sit here and take this slander, okay?
What's the slander?
I'm
Look at the
just
results.
saying.
Look at the results.
I'm still going to defend it.
Lies. It's
I'm
not
still
lies.
going to
No
defend
lies.
it. I'm still going to defend it.
This is not a season of
This is
lies.
not actionable. You cannot take us to court.
I'm still going to defend it, all right?
Because Harry T. Stone will say judgment for them.
Little night court. I like it.
Somebody going to go night-night, okay? This is what's going to happen. We keep this slander on my Vols, all right? That's a
End of
sensitive
the show
topic.
yesterday. I let Abby hear that last night.
I heard it again. It was better the second time. It was better. And truth be told, hearing it outside of the studio, Shay sounded just like Hunk.
That's why I have a sore throat today.
I was more impressed with mine than I thought it was going to be. I was just throwing my
Yours
little line
sounded
out there. It
pretty
sounded
good.
more.
Yeah.
It sounded similar to yours, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. Not as terrible as I thought.
He caught a stray yesterday, man.
They aired it at the beginning of 3HL yesterday. Brent couldn't believe it. He thought it sounded exactly like Joe.
Yeah, he did, man. It was pretty cool. It was folks outside of the building talking about it too. People I ran into yesterday, man. It was just like, don't catch a stray from Joe Hunk. I'm like, nah, man. If you know, you know. That's our guy, but he had to get it yesterday.
And to be real, Joe was great about it.
He was
Good team player.
about it. He was. I saw, who was it? Penzika came into the studio to hear it too. It was pretty. Everybody was.
That's right.
Remember? Penzika came in to hear it, man.
I do remember because I ran in afterwards and showed the championship belt
That's what I
and
was going to
celebrated.
say. You hoisted the belt up, man. Hold up, real quick, too, since I said that word. We can say hoist, but we can't say the M version of it.
I mean, you can say moist if you want.
There it
People
is.
get
All
all
right, there
worked
we
up
go.
about it.
We can say hoist, but not moist.
Yeah, those two words aren't really the same.
No, they mean very different things.
Just switch the letter.
I mean, yes.
I could have flipped it right there.
I mean, the definition is much
buck
different.
and cluck and you change the letter is a lot of
You
difference.
hoist the moist up.
Luck.
Hey,
Suck, truck, duck,
all of them.
muck.
Every single
I have
one
nipples,
of them.
Greg. Can you milk me?
That's probably the best part of that movie
Tuck.
right there. Buck. We said buck already, didn't we? Truck. Luck.
Speaking of Buck, he will be later on the show today.
That's our guy, man. Look at him going up to Indy. I saw yesterday he posted. I got to figure out, did Buck buy that vehicle from Two Rivers Ford too? Because I'm like, okay, Mr. New Wheels. It's income tax season. Spend that check then, Buck.
I think you need to find out that information.
I really am. I'm like, Buck, you spending your income
I
taxes?
think it's just a courtesy.
It's a curt. Nah, I feel like Buck bought it. He bought it. He bought it. That last.
He bought what?
Unnecessary. You weren't even listening to us, were you?
I tuned out for a second.
You get this man some.
think I be listening to you? I ain't listening to you.
You give him some Black Rifle coffee, he just turns into a new person out here.
Yeah, how was that? You had a meeting down in Manchester.
That was
yesterday.
fun, man. They
Nobody wants to hear about it.
well, you won't hear about it, so
All right, go ahead. My bad. I had to set you up right.
no. Brian Gutekunst says that not getting any offers on Aaron Rodgers. Not a single GM has called making an offer.
Okay.
You want to know what I think about that?
Talk. Yeah. By the way, people love that drama.
I know, and I get in so much trouble for
I
it.
know. Between Brian Gutekunst and friggin' Trent Baalke, those two just gotta stop it altogether to me. Read an article this morning, man, on Trent Baalke too. Just speaking about the obvious thing. Who's gonna offer Aaron Rodgers, Jay? You put him on the side of the street, yeah, we'll pick him up. Pretty much is where you at with him, right? Shafe, that's where you take Aaron Rodgers to on the side corner, right?
I wasn't paying attention.
You really think I be listening to you?
God.
I ain't listening to you.
We said Gutekunst, pretty much is saying, what is his name? Gutekunst? That's what we'll call Jadakiss.
Gutekunst.
We'll call him Jadakiss. Jadakiss, the GM for Green
D-Block.
Bay. Yeah, D-Block straight up said that they're not, getting calls from Aaron Rodgers? Like, duh, said we take him on the side of the road.
Well, what did he say exactly? Because if he said we're not taking calls, that doesn't mean you're not receiving calls. You just ain't answering them. Semantics are important in this situation.
How is that Tennessee's first win against Georgia in Georgia since 2011?
Just got one of my resources hit me up and said, psst, Buck bought it.
Notice we just had three different topics there in 10
new
seconds.
SUV.
Well, good
he has
for
a new
him.
SUV.
Heavy bags Buck. There we go.
What is it?
Ford Explorer, nice loaded sunroof. Look like I guarantee it's got lane assist, cruise control, automatic cruise control, lane changing cruise control, auto start, seat warmers, and cool seats with a third row for the cats.
Gotta get his agent.
Yeah, that's the info I'm looking for. That's all I want to talk about now is Buck's new truck and Aaron Rodgers. But I gotta tell you about the Jaguars too. They're idiots.
Well, look, go to that first.
Which one?
This is a morning of just non sequiturs all over the place.
This Mickey D's coffee is kicking in, okay? I know it's not BRC, okay? It's not them this morning. Stopped by, picked up a quick breakfast. I'm here now.
Now we had another non sequitur. Go back to Trent Baalke and tell me what's going on.
Oh. All right, let's bring it back in. All right, here we go. Trent Baalke on NFL.com. He's going to say the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life for a year after picking the franchise quarterback. He's going to say, you're always open for business for the number one pick. Weren't they
about, you mean it's a draft?
I'm like, no. You weren't open for business last year when you had Trevor Lawrence. This is what happens after you get your guy, and the draft isn't as strong as you need it to be as far as getting a guy. Even if I think the Jags understand they need to go get a tackle to protect Trevor Lawrence. I'm like, even if they don't get the number one overall draft pick as far as the tackle, there are some other ones that are really good in this draft. Inky, Ekwonu, and also Evan Neal. Both of them really good. If you don't get one, you get the other.
Three of those guys, there's three offensive tackles that are likely to go in the top 7 picks of the draft.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think they were talking about it. Yes, I forget who it was, but they were just saying most years tackles go like, what was it, like 4 in the first round is good. I think they're expecting like 6 or 7 this year. So, but no, this is GMs do the most silliest or make the silliest remarks sometimes in the offseason. Like the number 1 pick is open for business. Yeah, because it's not a strong one and you got your franchise quarterback already. And the fact that nobody is really just crawling over glass to get the number 1 overall pick because there's no franchise, in my opinion, changing quarterback that's going to light up your fans to say, hey, yeah, we want to be with that guy for the next 20 years. So Trent Baalke, you're like, no, we're not trying to hear that. Like Jacksonville doing Jacksonville type things. Number 1 overall pick. Number 1, you're going to get a whole lot of equity as far as giving up that number 1 overall pick to use against somebody else. So he's smart and trying to leverage more draft picks and everything else, but nobody's going to grab that bait right there. If you don't get Evan Neal, you're going to get Nwanku. So what are you going to do about that?
I mean, you say it because it's what GMs, kind of thing GMs say. And the other thing is, if you feel like you have a quarterback, then you are more open for business than anywhere else. If you don't have a quarterback and you have the number 1 pick, then you take the quarterback you need.
What was the conversation we heard was about 2 years ago as far as Joe Burrow? Like Cincinnati hung up the phone on Miami.
Yeah, they didn't care. They didn't care. They knew they had a guy that they knew, and they did not have a quarterback.
No.
They knew what they wanted to do. If you have a quarterback, yeah, you might listen a little bit more, but also it's a nice thing to say.
It is.
You can still hang up on everybody that calls.
That's true.
They better either protect him or maybe they draft Hutchinson. But they should go with the less sexy pick and make sure they protect the guy because the sexiest pick was last year. That was the one they needed to worry about from that perspective.
And they got him, and they're satisfied with him. And I truly understand to get more draft capital. That team has gone from 2017, one of the best teams in the league, to right back where they were through all of the 2000s for the most part, the mid to late 2000s. They are a bad franchise right now again, but they have the guy in Trevor Lawrence. I don't think you want to take a wide receiver, number 1 overall in this draft. They got a quarterback, so that's out. Edge rusher, Aiden. Still stuck on Aiden Hutchinson. But,
We'll see.
I mean, a good edge rusher could be a thing that really gets them over the top. But to your point, they got to start protecting that kid the same way I expect Cincinnati to be a hot team as far as free agency goes with offensive linemen and potentially in the draft, too. I can see them getting a guard or something like that. So those 2 teams with new young quarterbacks got to protect themselves. And it's just a great year for offensive linemen anyhow in this draft, not just tackles, but interior guys, too. So I'm looking forward to covering that with Titans Radio this year during the draft, man. It's been really cool watching some film. That's really where I get dirty at, man. It's pretty cool.
Buck will join us from Indy in the third hour. Bill Bender will join us. We can talk college football. We can also talk some of these prospects and draft. I want to ask him because he's in Big Ten country about Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely the guy that I'm looking at, and I'm just curious to know whether or not that's going to work or not. We didn't get into much, and maybe we can do it after the break. We didn't talk that much about what Hutchinson said at the Super Bowl about how he thinks he's going to dominate the NFL and get into the difference between college and the NFL. So maybe we'll do that on the other side. Plus, of course, Inky will join us at the end of the show. The telephone number is 615-737-1045. 737-1045, off and running. Of course, on Twitter at JMart and Ramon. And we'll be right back here on 1045 The Zone. So I want to talk to you about attitude and culture this morning and how important it actually is. Like, yes, sometimes the products are the reason you go to a place, but sometimes the reason you go to the place is the people and just what you find when you walk into the door. And the attitude and culture at United Structural Systems is enough reason for you to take the competition and throw it out completely. It's the baby, it's the bathwater, it's all of it. Because United Structural Systems, with employees that have been there for over 25 years, in some cases, because they find a job that they love and they stick to it. We're talking project managers, we're talking customer service, we're talking production, absolutely everything. When it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing work, you got to make sure that the people you're dealing with are giving you an honest diagnosis. They're telling you exactly what's true, not telling you what's false, not telling you need a bunch of fixes that you don't need, and you know you can trust them. It's the peace of mind. I'll pay more for peace of mind, quite frankly. I'll pay more for culture. And in a lot of cases, you're going to pay less because you're dealing with honest people. Again, right here in our community for over 25 plus years, which means one thing: they aren't going anywhere. This is exactly the company you need doing your repair work. This is who you want to call if you ever do need to use a warranty, which they will stand behind. They care, and they're experts. They're going to tell you what's going on or not going on. They're going to give you a detailed free estimate. They're going to tell you, again, what the plan is, and then you make the decision. And then they'll finish the job if something needs to be done, and you don't pay until the very, very last step. Homeowners trust USS. The culture, again, is off the charts. They say, we guarantee our best, call USS. They do. That's absolutely what they are, is problem solvers. So let them solve your problems today. It'll be the best decision you make all week. United Structural Systems, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama, online at USSTN.com, or call them, 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275. This show is definitely juvenile. That is certainly true.
Man, he fresh, man.
Are you crop dusting if you just do it in the studio and then host a segment?
That's hot boxing.
That's hot boxing for real. Well, I'd rather you not announce it. Okay?
I didn't actually do it. I was just asking a question.
Whew. Oh, I have to turn that
Were you
air.
asking-
But I can do it.
Were you asking for a friend?
That sound is awesome. That's what my kids are into now. That and burps. Like, what's wrong with y'all?
They're right at that age.
They are at that age, man. You know we got a rating system with burps in the house, too.
Of course you do. Why would you not?
We really do.
I'd be surprised if you didn't.
Miles and RJ and Burp were like, Dad, what was that? It was like a 6.
They're at that age.
They are. I'm a child, so I play right into it.
Congrats to RJ. Had a good game last night.
It was decent, man. The kid did all right.
Richard Jefferson came out of retirement?
Yeah. Well, you work on CG getting a scholarship, okay? Put that ball in her hand.
Last night was the first thing that we have tried to feed her where she wasn't having it.
Peas.
No.
Oh.
It was Abby's chicken cordon bleu casserole.
Mm.
The leftovers from a couple days ago. She wasn't having it.
She for real?
I mean, I would have had it.
It was good, man.
She minced it up and everything for her?
Yeah.
Nothing?
She would like, and she's doing this thing now where I guess kids do this. I mean, I know kids do this. I said, she's acting like a kid now. She's not acting like a baby anymore.
Yeah.
Where like, she shows you what she's eating and she's like, tongue sticking out and
Yeah.
all this kind of thing. I'm
Do it
like,
for the
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, nah, that's part of it. Spitting out stuff, grabbing stuff, throwing it on the ground.
And she like did this number. She like
Yeah.
backed away.
I don't-
She wants to get the spoon and then take the spoon and not eat what's on the spoon.
That's perfect.
It was basically her saying,
That's the Colts.
Yeah, pretty much. Welcome to the show, Jay. That's all. Every time I hear a new story, that's all I'm thinking. Like, that ain't even the worst part. Like, Jay, every single time I'm like, that ain't even the worst part.
yeah, you're listening to it and you're like, but wait, there's more.
There's more.
Chris in Manchester, where I was yesterday. Chris, what's up?
What's up, Chris?
Man, fellas, I'm just glad to hear y'all this beautiful morning. Sun's shining, the weather's getting better outside, just everything is better.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, Jay, glad you got on to my guys at a Black Rifle.
Mhm.
I posted that pic of you last night on Twitter and everything. You don't know it, but that guy you were standing beside right there, Dwayne, that guy is the glue guy for that factory up
Yeah.
there. That man is also very famous in the town of McMinnville. So just glad you got to see him. Glad you got to talk to him. That's my guy right there. I was the ops manager up there for a while, and
Oh yeah.
that picture he painted beside you and Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I painted that painting whenever I worked there.
Oh,
So
you
that's
did the
awesome.
Teddy Roosevelt photo or the
I did
portrait?
I did all those paintings in
Oh.
the factory there.
Wow, that's
So,
pretty impressive, man. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Do
you,
I
buddy.
need to ask why he's famous in McMinnville?
Man, he is just sexual chocolate. I'm just gonna say that. That guy is my right hand. He was my right hand man when I worked there. And there is not a better human on the face of this planet. I'm just telling y'all right now. That's my
beautiful.
guy. I'm sure he's listening this morning.
Yeah, he does.
Him and I
Go
Him and
ahead.
I used to talk about this station and talk about sports every morning in my office before we started work. And, man, it was something we always talked about having, it was before you guys were on air, but having the station come down there or something. So it was kind of cool to see that happen, you know.
Oh,
Where'd you go? Bad reception. Must be in those
somebody
Tennessee
else picked
hills.
up a rifle.
Snipe. Jason didn't snipe you.
No, it wasn't me.
Nope.
He was
Jason did
interested in
not.
that. Call it man sexual chocolate.
Yeah, Dwayne was awesome.
That's too real.
Jason was awesome. I spent a lot of time with Jen, who's there, Walter White out
The
there.
bottle of gin?
No.
Oh, okay. Gin and juice. Okay.
Apparently,
never
Jen
mind.
is spelled G-E-N though. Which
Is it
interesting.
really? G-E-N? We're talking about the spirit now.
No, that's
Or-
G-I-N.
Okay. Oh, you talking about her
G-E-N is
name.
the woman that.
Okay. My bad.
Oh.
Just had to clarify. You was lost too?
A little bit.
Wasn't just me.
I mean, it was mostly you.
Regardless, it was a great
Studio
trip.
5.
They were very kind. Gave us some nice swag. I think we might. I didn't realize they had brick and mortar stores now, but there's one in Clarksville, a corporate store in Clarksville. Might be broadcasting from there. All I'm saying.
I saw the Twitter photo of the Teddy Roosevelt portrait.
Yeah, I
didn't realize that. That's really good stuff.
Done,
Real good.
Chris.
Gotta get a black and white of me.
All
That'd
right,
be
I was
awesome.
just going to say, are we going to do a show portrait then?
Man.
Can we talk him into that?
Come
yeah.
on, Chris.
That'd be awesome.
Be up here just advertising and
Hanging up in the studio, writing Ron Slade's face every day.
right on that.
But
face.
yesterday I was in my Yesterday I was in my happy place, and so I was telling the story last night to Abby at dinner, and she was just like, "You've got a problem."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I don't. I have a hobby." She goes, "It's an obsession." I said, "Well, most people's hobbies are obsessions. Hobbies are only limited by expendable income and time."
I don't know. You got a little bit of a problem.
No, I don't.
You want to know how you got a little bit of
At
a
the
problem.
very least, it is an
ahead.
obsession.
It is.
It is an obsession.
You look down on people that have like Folgers.
That's not true.
You know what?
I look down on Folgers. I don't look down on anybody who likes
Well,
something else.
I'm saying the cup of it being in her hand, like, yeah, it's good old Folgers, right? You're like,
That's bean water, man.
that was my grandmama's coffee.
That's Sanka.
I think it's what I'm having right now.
I'm having some
Well, what I've got for everybody.
Golden Arches
And
coffee.
it's just going to go in your office, Schaefer, for us in the mornings. Is 50,
But see-
50 rounds of Black Rifle that we can drink in the coming weeks.
When you use the
Shoot
Keurig,
that in
though,
your face.
it burns the coffee, though. We got to get the temperature right in the office, man.
The Keurig's not bad here.
No, but the water temperature just eviscerates your tongue off.
They also gave me some beans and stuff, but those are at the house. Those are going to stay at the house.
McMinnville, Gordonsville. Oh, there it
Yep.
is.
I was looking just to make sure I wasn't near exit 24, mile marker 259.
There's some people on Twitter yesterday that either agreed with us on Linwood Drive or they
Yeah.
did not want any of that slander.
By the way, Ola Daney caught a flat yesterday, too. He tweeted at us, let us know that he had it.
Tighten up.
Also bent his rim and just said, these Nashville streets. I was tempted to tweet at T-Dot yesterday and also just the governor be like, man, we got to do better. I was just like, you know what? All they can do is laugh and be like, go get it repaired. So I was done.
Well, I mean, the problem is they are fixing them. There's so many of them.
I've been
There's so many
riding-
crews, and they're trying to do this cable. And, like, it seems like half the city is in our neighborhood right now laying cable.
At least it ain't pipe. Well,
No, that's J.R. Smith.
But up and down 24, man, I've never seen so many. I had to go to Clarksville yesterday for the kiddos' practice. Never seen so many 18-wheelers just swerving in and out of traffic. I think the potholes is what's called accidents, man. Like, people swerving, like, I was just like, goodness gracious, this is bad.
Dwayne did, as he was taking us around
D-Wayne.
the roaster area where I had to wear, like, smocks and beard nets and hair nets and all this other kind of stuff. He was saying, hey, you guys listen to The Zone? It's probably the biggest radio station in the state. It's like, I was just like, yes.
By the way, our antenna goes far. I was driving to
Reising.
you kids. When y'all gonna grow up, man? What's crazy?
That was timed out about as perfect as you can get right there.
What's crazy is everybody blame me for being childish around my friends. When in reality, it's my friends that are very childish.
You encourage all your friends to do that. Plus, you choose them to be your friends.
You have led to the juvenility, the adolescent essence.
You have led to the corruption.
Where does that come from? I know that voice. Where is that from?
I was kind
Was
of
it
looking at it
Pootie
like, no, I was doing it more like it was Damon Wayans on In Living Color.
Yeah. That's where we at. But
Evacuate my facilities.
he doesn't get enough credit, by the way.
He's unreal, man.
unreal. Absolutely.
Homie the Clown's still one of my favorite characters.
Oh, amen.
We used to take socks to school with socks inside. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about black eyes?
Oh, you could beat the hell out of somebody.
You put quarters in them or something.
Put a baseball in
Yeah.
them. Yep.
That was some degenerate stuff. That it was two things in my childhood that really just crossed the line. It was wrestling, because when I DDT my brother on his head, like,
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Renardo, I'm sorry to
They're
this
not
day.
DDTing anyone on their heads.
Hey, it was real to me, Jay. Like wrestling, pretty much. I could have been locked up. I could have been in jail, man. Like I put my brother on his head. I feel bad to this day. Also threw a fork at Nardo too as a kid. Summertime, dead time, too much, around each other too long. He just ticked me off one day. and I couldn't do anything. I had a fork in my hand for some reason. I threw it across our trailer, stuck him dead in his arm. He still got the 4 prongs in his arm.
All right, Abdullah.
Yeah. I'm being real.
Abby went after him.
Yeah.
So between wrestling and homie don't play that with the socks, like I should probably be a felon by now, man, with what the stuff I did as a kid. It was pretty bad. I apologize, Nardo,
Well.
still.
We've all got a few stories.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mine's worse than both things you just said, but it's going to remain
I mean,
right where it is.
We've got 5 minutes left in the segment. So here we
Jay.
go.
No.
We got time, cuz. Come on.
We got all the time.
And then
Look. No.
everybody's done something to their siblings, man.
I don't have a sibling.
Jason.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
Do I really tell this story?
I don't know what the story is.
I feel
so
like
don't
everybody
know.
got a story like this.
So there was a kid.
All right, let me ask you this. Statute of limitations.
I don't think I can get in trouble for this now.
All right, are you going
I
to
mean,
hear?
this isn't like stealing road signs,
All
which
right.
we did, and all that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I used to shoot road signs with a paintball gun.
You did?
So I mean,
You know what's great? I didn't
We
realize
shot people's windows out with paintball guns.
Ooh, no.
I kicked in a project door before. It was an abandoned house.
Well,
but they
these were abandoned.
renovating.
We weren't shooting people like a
Oh,
regular.
okay.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. I was just going to be like, oh, that's not
It
cool.
was like I was like 12 years old, and I just kicked in a door.
Is
for
Cliff
no
Kingsbury
reason.
joining the cast of 1883?
Looking at him right now on TV.
With that
Looks like a pilgrim.
By the way, only one season of 1883. They're not doing another one.
Plymouth Rock's going to end up 7-9
God,
after starting 8-1.
see,
You mean so there's an entire game they're not going to play? He's going to be 7-9.
Now, see, this thing that we did is just flat not okay, though.
what's that?
This story.
What you did? By the way, hold up. We're getting some replies in the zone chat, Pete, too, also and from Twitter. Hey, Andrew said I had a croquet mallet to the head by my brother. Andrew also says still he got the scar above his eye. You're not alone.
I mean, I took a baseball bat to the back of the head from who I thought was one of my closest friends at church on a Wednesday
On
night.
purpose?
Wait, no.
On purpose?
There's so many things about that statement.
He turned on me like this was an NWO heel turn on
I'm
me
just
because
gonna
something
say.
with a girl.
Every time it's Jay with girls, man.
But notice with this one, this was ... at church.
Oh.
He's getting
After our youth meeting on a Wednesday night, we were out there like on the little playground area and just tapped. And then our friendship was over. And then I made a 20-page book about him and his family that I would put in a bunch of people's lockers and released across. And it was all about how poor they were.
What you mean?
I'm serious.
Talk about mean girls.
Jason's a good storyteller because he waits until the last part and then bam! Hey, I wrote this book about them, about how poor they were. Dude!
And I mean, it's not like we were living high on a hog or anything, but I
That
was just
makes
like
it
going after him.
worse.
I know.
That makes it worse.
We're poor, but you poorer than me.
Yeah.
What the hell?
We may be
Jason?
poor, but you're poorer.
Zach is asking, was this a plastic bat?
Huh?
Was
No.
this wasn't official price?
It was like an aluminum.
Oh,
It's like an Easton.
God.
He the reason they changed him out to a BB cores and dropped it. He didn't use a U-trip
And notice
bat.
this isn't even the story.
No, this ain't. I don't know that I can do
He
this.
just gave the end story.
All right, if you share the story, will Abby be ashamed of you?
She would definitely give me an eye when I see her tonight.
But if it's just an eye, then we can do this.
All
If
right.
you're just getting side-eye, we
Fine,
can.
screw it. We're all friends
Yeah.
here. This is the trust tree. A trust tree that extends across the entire city.
Yeah, and all the way down to Murfreesboro, right past Portland, I think Southern Kentucky.
By far the worst thing that I was
Goes the
associated
whole way to
with.
McMinnville.
Whole way to McGill.
High school, it was 9th or 10th grade.
What year era? What's this, 97?
This would have been like 95.
95.
Because I graduated in 97.
All right, shout out to the 97 class.
Gym class.
Gym class.
We had one guy. His nickname was Booger Boy.
Hey, how long had he had this name?
Since I knew him. Because he would,
Eat his boogers in
yeah,
class.
all of that stuff.
Everybody had that dude.
Yeah, this is, I guess I'm not going to name him.
Don't name him yet.
But he was he was touched. And he also
He was a little slower than most.
well, I'm not even necessarily saying that as much as he was just irritating. He wasn't like a bless your heart guy.
Yeah.
he was not sympathetic.
Just a mean kid. So he's
Kinda
what's the mean kid
and
from
lame.
Toy Story?
Yeah.
He's what was that kid name?
The next door neighbor.
Yeah, the next door neighbor.
Stu or
not Stu. What was the bad kid in friggin' Toy Story?
I thought it was Stu.
Look it up, Ramon. While
Yeah,
you
I'll
tell
look
the
it
story.
up.
Anyway, so still though, this kid was one of those that like you just need to leave him alone, not because he's going to do something to you, but because he's probably got enough issues on his plate. You should show more grace. But 15 and
Sid. He was Sid.
Grace is not a word I understood at this point. So me and my friends, and I
Look how Jay tried to cover it up.
All I did was provide the aerosol deodorant. Back in the day, I guess it still made its way, but like Right Guard deodorant, spray deodorant.
I used to use Right
Axe
Guard.
body
Yeah.
spray.
You know what happens when you take deodorant and spray it on a lighter
Yeah.
in someone's face?
Oh,
You deserved it. Yeah, you deserved it, Jay.
I deserved what?
You deserved a bat to the back of the head.
It's not the same
all
guy.
right, which happened
Oh!
first? Which happened first?
These aren't the same people.
No. I understand that, but I'm going through order of events. Did the aerosol happen, and then you eventually got hit by the baseball bat?
No. The aerosol was long after the bat. It's probably 2 years after the bat.
You probably should have got the bat again.
You should have got the bat.
We didn't burn his face. It wasn't like a full Harry and Marv situation.
Okay.
But like I said, we were just trying to scare him, and it terrified him, and he was crying and all this other kind of stuff.
This is the Sid kid.
We got taken to the vice principal.
Yes.
And the vice principal was cool. And he was like, I should suspend all of you and all this kind of stuff. All I did was bring the deodorant. I didn't do anything else. They asked me for the deodorant. I didn't know what they were going to do with it.
You were an accessory to the
I
crime.
know,
I didn't know what they were going to do with deodorant.
I bought the bullets. I bought the bullets to the gun, and we rolled together.
I didn't know a Zippo lighter
And we
was coming
rolled
out of the
together.
pocket.
I provided you with the firing
But
pin.
anyway, the vice principal was like, he couldn't stop laughing because he thought it was so funny. He goes,
idiot.
y'all just go on back to class. We got nothing.
For real.
Nothing.
What about the kid?
He was terrified. May have never been the same afterwards.
I hope he's in Nashville listening right now. Oh, Jay, that's pretty iffy right there,
I
man.
told you. I'm not proud of it.
A spray
At
can
all.
to the face. And you see how he prefaces the conversation too by saying, this is before I was, and what was you saying, falling under grace right there?
I was just like, grace is not a word I understood.
That's some mean girl stuff. First, the book. By the way, somebody made that on Twitter too, by the way, made a burn book. That's cold-blooded.
This was John is in the borough. John, what's up?
What's up, John?
What's up, guys? So, real quick, one thing that I've learned through all of this is that none of y'all are still as bad as Rob Manfred.
It's a fair point.
Out of all of this, we can all still sleep better knowing that. Second of all, so my story is that I don't have any brothers or sisters. I grew up an only child, which probably explains a whole hell of a lot about me. There was this kid that picked on me for years when we were in elementary school. And one day, I got sick of it, and we were on the top of the jungle gym, and I shoved him off the jungle gym, broke his collarbone, his shoulder, and his arm, and walked away like nothing happened.
Oh, what did you say?
Dropped him on his cocoa melon.
When you saw him at school with the cast on, man.
Well, he didn't show up for 6 weeks. And I don't know that to this day I don't know if he ever knew that it was me that pushed him off, but I just played it off like I don't know how it happened. He must have just slipped.
No face, no case. There was no cameras. There was no cameras back then on the playground. That's
Good stuff, John.
awesome. Degenerates, man. That's why I tell everybody. People come up to me bragging on my kids. Oh, your kids are so awesome. No. They're little juveniles is what they are.
Like when you were talking about devious licks, I was thinking about it the whole time. Like, yeah, we'd have done that.
You'd have done
Like
it.
now it's like, why would anyone do? Yeah, we'd have done that.
Yeah.
I have no idea why, but we were idiots.
The devious licks things is Freaking
We were
wow.
straight up idiots. I already told you about the hankering for an omelet story and all that stuff over the years. Man, we were last couple of years in high school. I'm not exactly sure how we got out of that unscathed.
Your kids aren't good kids. You weren't a good kid.
I was a good kid. I was not great from about 15 to 20.
For real?
15 to 18. I was not great.
You wasn't a great human being at that point.
It's possible I should have had my ass whooped.
Was it you or was it your friends, though, that got you for the most part?
Definitely, they dragged me along for a lot of it.
But you were a willing participant through most.
Yeah.
The spray can to the face is pretty.
That's rough.
Again, it was just to scare him.
But it hit his eyebrows.
No, he did not get singed. He didn't get fired. Like, fire did not touch his face.
He didn't have the whiskers.
That would have been a different story.
It's called assault.
What?
That's called assault.
It didn't touch him. It's not assault at all.
Conspiracy to commit assault.
Cousin P, see if his statutory.
Hey, Moan, there are two nuts. One was assaulted. We'll be right back. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
And welcome back to JMart and Ramon. Currently 6:50 a.m. on this beautiful Hump Day Wednesday. And today's topic seemed to kind of segue into hashtag choosing violence. Whether it's on your siblings, a high school friend, or just a random kid on the playground, we've had some eerie calls. We've had some eerie tweets about the violence that people have chosen, Jay. One in particular, man, on Twitter today.
Why'd you say Jay? Jay's not even in the studio.
You're Jay, too. Your name starts with a J.
That's true. But
But Cousin Scooby on Twitter, man, says, when I was younger, my sister hit me in the face with the old school Nintendo from across the room and split my wig, blood everywhere. My dad looked at me and said, bet you won't do that again.
Oh, my dad used to tell me that all the time.
Oh, for
when I do
real?
something stupid, he'd go, how'd that work out for you? Did you learn your lesson?
Was it because it was your sister or something like that? Or
no, it's just my dad was one of those type of cats that he never had to resort to corporal punishment because he was just a stoic, just calm dude. He was in Vietnam, that whole thing. So when you disappointed him, you knew it. He was also at the time like 6'2", so big imposing figure.
You said that like he's short, like he got short or something.
Well, he's like 6 feet now, but he's
shrunk.
70. He's 77 years old, so he shrunk a little bit.
Bless
so
him,
he's
man.
not as big. Like I'm actually bigger than him now.
Do you try him?
But no,
I bet you.
no,
Bet you don't.
You
That ain't-
never try farm boy strength or old man strength or nothing like that. You don't
Never.
try any of those things.
No, it's true.
But he would just look at you, and you would just feel bad. You'd
No doubt.
feel bad because the old man would look at you and go, "You know what you did? Yeah. Did you learn anything? Yeah. You gonna do it again? No. But are you gonna do it again? Maybe. Yeah. And that's kind of how that worked out.
It's a lot that goes. I never forget my brother-in-law tells a story all the time where my wife stabbed my brother-in-law with an umbrella because he wouldn't let her in the house, man.
Keisha stabbed somebody?
Our
Of
brother-
course she cut somebody. Of course she did.
I think
Good morning, Keish. What's up?
I think he's hurt from it this day, man. Like I said, Nardo continuously tell me, I continuously see the prongs in his arm from the fork that I threw at him, man. The stuff we did at kids, man, I'm glad we became well-rounded individuals as adults. I think.
Speak for yourself. I don't know what you're talking about.
I still can't get over the fact that Jason used basically
Where is he?
an aerosol can
Where
to
did he
spray
go?
somebody.
Hey,
He quit.
Welcome back.
He quit.
Hey.
I quit.
Yeah, he was hotboxing the studio, so I have a feeling that his absence right there had something to do with that.
Yeah.
You feeling better? You good?
You
all
okay
right?
now? I'm
Yeah,
Bobby.
how you doing? How you doing, champ?
Welcome to the show, champ.
Hey.
Champ, that's the one. Sport.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, are we back?
Welcome to the show, sport. Yeah, we're back. We've been back.
You doing okay?
I
Told
had
the story
had a
about-
quick meeting.
Yes, you did have a. No, actually, it was a
I wasn't
long
quick,
meeting.
man.
Dude, that spot break was 20 minutes long, man. You couldn't get it done in that period of time.
I guess the theme for the day is choosing violence, Jay. Cousin Scooby sent in a tweet that said his sister threw a Nintendo at his face, split him, and then guess what his pop said to him? Did you learn anything from that?
Yeah, he learned to blow on the cartridge first
Not from his
to
sister.
make sure it worked.
Yeah, not from his sister, man. Choosing violence, Jay.
Choosing violence.
Oh,
I
no,
almost
it's-
wore the violence shirt today. I should have.
Shafe
I did
got
not
it
know
on.
this is happening.
Shafe got it on.
I almost wore it.
Should have. Yeah, he said his dad looked at him, told you, bet you won't do that again. Dad's always sympathetic to the daughters, though, too. Choosing violence, Jay. Why not?
Wow. The dime up his nose thing. You see that? I
No.
once told my little brother to close his eyes, and when he did, I shoved a dime up his nose. We don't talk anymore.
I wouldn't either.
I'm feeling a little bit better about my story.
I lightly got bullied by Nardo a little bit, but he never took it too far. He just picked on me. I became very tough skinned very fast.
So line up your calls. I see Eric, Jeremy, and Coach B. We're going to take our break. We're going to come back out of the top of the hour headlines.
got here. How are you going to break when you just came
All
back?
right, I'll host a segment during the break silently.
Some people would say that's your best move.
You're probably right.
Probably about where it goes.
I know one person would have been my English teacher.
What did she do to you?
She put me in the hall for the second half of the year.
Did you burn her face with an aerosol can?
No, but I must have burned her eardrums because she was tired of hearing me. Because I was telling jokes and everything in class, so she put me out in the hallway with my desk, and I had to sit there and look through the door to learn for about a month and a half.
Remember, log all of these in. Log them in. Because CG is all I got.
CG, man.
You put her in that private school if you want to.
She's gonna be perfect.
She's gonna be at the headmaster office.
She's gonna be an angel.
No.
Angel.
And your delinquency and Abby's trap music, this kid's got no shot.
Should be Roy Gilmore.
Killing Slay.
Ghost killer.
I'm locked in.
615-737-1045. Choose violence however you wish. Story time is probably the best way. Coach B and Eric will lead off with your calls after the headlines. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Sit on it and spit.
Mortgage interest rates are starting to tick up, but the guys at Home Loan Expert are still locking their clients in at historic lows. So if you've been sitting on the fence to get a refi, if you haven't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time. You got to stop waiting for a lower rate because they won't stick around for much longer. Interest rates are still sitting in a low of 2%, which means that if you refinance your mortgage, you can get more cash in your pockets, if not hundreds, thousands of dollars a month with a simple refi. And the thing about doing it, it can lower your monthly payments. It can also give you some cash to pay off debt. And the best part about it, you can skip a few mortgage payments. Everybody likes skipping a few bills, okay? So if you've been sitting at home for months, also, people are looking for new homes, and we know that our area that we live in right now, these homes are selling fast. If you see a home, you better get that home because within 2 days, there's probably an offer on that home. So getting pre-approved is key to finding that dream home and closing on it. But at thehomeloanexpert.com, they can lock in your interest rate, project your payments, and get you pre-qualified. So when you find that right home, you can submit that offer and close on it. The homeloanexpert.com are doing more home loans than ever and are closing purchases in less than 21 days. So don't wait. 21-day closing guaranteed. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. To the hardwood, number 13, Tennessee. Rick Barnes and the basket Vols. They overcame a slow start to win at Georgia last night, 75-68. Josiah Jordan-James, a career-high 23 points. Kennedy Chandler, 16 points, 4 steals for the Vols. They're currently tied for second place in the conference with Kentucky. Florida scored the last 9 points of the game to beat Vanderbilt 82-78 last night at Memorial Gym. Flanders Fleming Jr., that is a name, made a three-pointer with 6.3 seconds remaining and led the Gators to the victory. Hockey tonight on the West Coast. Preds go out to Seattle to take on the Kraken. Puck drop 9 o'clock, which means we'll probably be asleep. It is the Preds' first game since Saturday's loss to the Lightning at Nissan Stadium. And Major League Baseball has canceled opening day, scrapping regular season games over a labor dispute for the first time in 27 years. Commissioner Rob Manfred canceled the first 2 series for each of the 30 teams, cutting each club's schedule from 162 to at most 156. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, JMart and Ramon here on this Wednesday. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. All4seasonsgarages.com. Go there to learn more. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. You can learn a lot from us. Oftentimes, learn things to check off your list. Meaning not do things that we do to check off, but just say, you know what? They did that. I'm probably not going to do that. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Also didn't realize RJ is a name. CG also similar. Didn't think about the initials.
What's that?
How that plays out. You have RJ, I've got CG.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we do say Clara Grace a lot too, but you know.
I say RJ. It's crazy. You're going to change her nickname like 3-4 times. My kids used to be JR. I was wondering what we're going to call him. JR or Junior was a name. He told us when he was like 4 or 5, not like 5. Yeah, you can just call me RJ. It's like, oh, okay. Kid made it the first decision in life.
Said that at, 5 years old?
Yeah, for real.
I think that's the last time he talked. He's so quiet.
I don't think I've ever heard him speak.
RJ?
Other than just say hello.
He's like that, man. That's why RJ talks a lot. He's actually he's in a teenage stage though right now though, too. You know how that goes. Yeah.
The one CG's not going to go through.
Good luck with that.
Shay, he keeps alluding to the fact that none of this is gonna happen.
My baby's an angel.
I love the state of denial he's in.
Eric in Nashville. Eric, choose violence.
Hey guys, listen, this didn't involve me, but people know me that I have called different programs and stuff over the years, talking football, stuff like it, through my connection and stuff like that. I've been able to go to different functions involving the Titans, you know, different dinners involving the NFL, involving current players, former NFL players, and all this type of stuff. And they tell, like, just a lot of stories. And of course, there's so many stories I heard. I can't tell all of them, guys, but one particular one that was hilarious. I will not tell you who told me this story or where I heard it from, because if I say it, I could get in trouble. And plus, the person that would say that I said it would vehemently deny this. But, of course, Gunther Cunningham, of course, was on the Titans staff as assistant Jeff Fisher. He used to work under Al Davis and be the head coach for the Raiders. And, of course, they had a falling out, and Cunningham could not stand Al Davis. He hated his guts. And, of course, neither one of them, of course, are no longer alive. But this was involving the preseason game. So Al Davis was on the field, kind of walking the field and everything, and Gunther Cunningham was on the field. So he saw Al Davis. So he decided, he picked up, I guess it was like a rock or a pebble, and he didn't throw it directly at him, but he kind of flicked it up in the air and the rock went straight up in the air and landed on top of Al Davis's head and caused a little gash in his head. So Al Davis looked around to see what happened, and Gunther Cunningham just walked off and was whistling.
Oh.
That is a true story. Yeah, like I said, guys, I will not tell you who told me the story, where I heard it from, because I can get a lot of trouble. But that is a true story. But that's just something I thought I'd share. Y'all guys have a great day.
Oh, man.
Sure was a lot of Raiders fans that appreciated that rock to his head.
No doubt. Coach B is next. What's up, Coach B?
What's up, Coach B?
Good morning, fellas. Good morning. Look here, I got two of them. I'm going to make them quick. First one was my childhood. Look, I'll sum it up quick. I did something Christmas Eve that garnished me getting punished by my grandmother. She slapped my tongue. So, you know, I don't know in what world we doing that, but that happened to me. I got my tongue slapped. So my cousin, Adrian, was one of the guilty guys laughing. So I was like, yeah, you laughing now, but I promise you I'm going to get you back later. So I'm plotting. So this was shortly after the New Year. My cousin has this good curly hair. You know, his mom washes his hair every freaking day and all that stuff. So he was in there washing his hair. I was like, bro, hey, man, you know, let me help you out real quick. So he was like, all right, bro. So, man, look here. He put his head up under that sink. I cut that hot water on his butt, started that head. He got to hollering. Guess you know I got another whooping, but at least I didn't get my tongue slapped. So, you know, it's all good. so now the second one, me and my wife, we've been married 22 years this year, okay?
Wow.
So
Awesome.
This was back when we were young, when we first got married. All right, so she was working somewhere in Metro Center. And this guy said something inappropriate to her, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So me being young, I had to go down there and flex. So she was like, you know, he's going to catch the bus. Now, he's talking crazy and inappropriate. He catches the bus. He ain't even got no car. So I rolled down there, parked my car, you know, about a couple blocks down, and I walked down there. So I catch this dude at the bus stop. I was like, bro, what's up? He said, yes, sir, what can I do for you? And I one-hit acquitted him.
Oh.
Right in his eye.
Oh.
Bow. Let me give you that sound effect one more time. Bow. Hit him in his eye.
Every night I got to prove my love.
Coach B, you get it, man. That's going to get saved now.
There's a little bit more. So when I dropped him, now he was standing right in front of the bus sign, and there was a little hill right behind him that led to like a little creek or water path that, you know, whatever. But it was a whole lot of water. Let me put it that way. So I thought, bow, hit him and dropped him. I kicked him down the daggum hill, and he rolled into the water. So a couple of days later, my wife talking about he come to work with a neck brace on and a black eye and all this. I was like, well, it'll teach him to say some inappropriate stuff again. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he realized how big I was. So, you know, lesson learned to him.
Give me the sound effect one more time.
Here we go. Bow! And I had to drop him right there. One hit quick. Hey, fellas, y'all have a good day.
Coach, you tell
Bow! I had to drop him right there.
I put it in the chat. You know what Coach B's been doing? Plotting on the low. Scheming on the low. Furthest thing for perfect. Like everyone I know. Brian in parts unknown. Near Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Brian, what's up?
What's up, B-Rye?
Hey, man. Hey, I had a spy versus spy relationship with a kid in my neighborhood, right? And we used to set each other up. The last thing that happened before I did this was he set up a bike ramp or jumped some stuff. He set it up to fail, so, you know, there's always stuff like that.
He set you up to fail?
Yeah, on a bike ramp. You know, made the ramp collapse before I got all the way up.
Oh.
So, winter came. We're sledding down this hill that's just extremely fast. And we were building like a snow mound to bust through on those little old rail sleds. And it came to my mind, I looked over on the side of the road and saw a piece of plywood. So I built a snow ramp while he walked up the hill, the snowbank. He walked back up the hill, wasn't seeing me. I put that piece of plywood on the very outside and barely covered it up with snow. So when he came down, he hit it and just went limp and just kept going, sliding down the hill. Of course, first thing I thought was, I better hide the piece of wood before I go check on him. So I go down there and put snow in his face and stuff and wake him, snap him out of it. He's like, what happened? I was like, man, You must have just hit it wrong, dude.
Oh,
Reising.
oh my God. Dude, you said he got
I'm
knocked
telling you.
out.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, it was crazy. I mean, we had like a spy versus our brothers were all 4 years older than us, and so they would always set us up to do stuff to each other, just so they could sit back and laugh, and while we're beating each other up and stuff. But,
Brian, you do realize that those spy versus spy comics always ended with either the black or the white spy dying in the end of those. At the end of those, right?
well, somehow we avoided that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that did. I'm glad that you dodged that, Brian.
He did admit the kid got knocked out. He had to put snow on his face.
Tim online too. Tim, go ahead.
Cold-blooded.
Tim, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Hey, go
good
ahead.
morning, Tim.
Hey, I was listening to y'all earlier talking about the potholes on 24. I had to carry my wife to the airport this morning. I live in Clarksville.
On foot?
And I've counted 11 cars with flat tires going east and then coming back west. I hit one that was so deep it threw me in the other lane.
Oh.
The thing that really upsets me is every night on the news, they got the spokesperson for TDOT. They want to explain to us what causes them. Well, you know what? Fire her and hire 2 people to get out there and fill them.
Hey, I'm with you, Tim.
We don't need a physics lesson on what causes them. Fix them.
Hey.
And that's the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Now, here's the thing. That's a you problem.
Hey. Yeah.
That becomes a me problem when I fall into a pothole.
Tim said it swerved him to the other lane, Jay. It's officially at your front door now. Tim put him on notice, basically.
We need the Revenge of the Nerds 2 soundbite.
We do.
From the early part of that, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I watched
Mom.
it. I don't know what the soundbite is, but I know the
When they're on the way to Fort Lauderdale.
Nope.
They're in the car, and they're listening to the message, and Gilbert, played by Anthony Edwards, says, "Watch out for that pothole," and they laugh, and then they hit the pothole and then laugh again.
We need new roads.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News will join us after the break. It is JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's JMart. Last time you cleaned your air ducts, go. Oh, man, it's a good thing it wasn't Jeopardy because you would have lost all your money. If you can't remember, just like I couldn't, it might be time to get them cleaned. How about 10% off your next duct cleaning right now with Lee Company today? Get on their schedule. Give them a call. Now, when you think about your air ducts, you're probably not thinking of all of what it traps. Dust, debris, your pet hair, all of that and more. So when you get your air ducts clean, yeah, you get fresher air. You also get less dust, and you get increased HVAC efficiency. And you can rephrase that, and it just says you're saving yourself money. So call Lee Company today. 10% off your next duct cleaning, 615-567-1000, or go online at leecompany.com/promotions. Either way, you can claim the offer. Again, that telephone number for Lee Company, 615-567-1000. I was praying. I was going to ask you to play it. I was hoping you would pick up and figure out what I was doing, and you did.
Hey.
And that's about where we find ourselves. Somewhere between psychotic and iconic.
Somewhere between psychotic and iconic. That's
it is JMart and Ramon. This track I will always listen to.
I think there's a Michael Jackson sample in this too.
I love this track. I love the beat. I love how it sounds in a car.
Amazing.
It's just fantastic.
It's the plotting on the low.
Yep, scheming on the low. And definitely furthest thing from perfect, like everyone we know.
Furthest
11-year NFL vet. Involved for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer with me. I'm Jason Martin. We're here till 10. A couple of quick tweets. When I was younger, my sister hit me in the face with the old school Nintendo from across the room, split my wig, blood everywhere. My dad looked at me and said, "Bet you don't do that again." Lonzo Wright. Lonzo.
I
had a buddy push his brother off a 2-story roof.
Ooh.
That's when you take the M-rated games out of the bedroom. It's like we're seeing some things here that don't need to be happening. That might work if you're Venom in Ultimate Spider-Man. That's not going to work.
No, not even into a haystack or nothing.
Then Lonzo also said, me and one of my sisters got into a fight. She hit me in the head with a pan. Like a frying pan?
Any pan.
Gator hater then said, my mama hit me with a cast iron skillet. All I said was, yes, mama.
Mama?
Probably that's the Jamie Foxx. Pause. You got hit so hard you pause. You sit in the middle of talking like Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. We'll get to more of your tweets. We're just choosing violent things that happened to you or that you were a part of. Sort of fun, pranky things when you were a kid. Like not if you caught a body, I don't need to know that. Please.
I mean, you tried to set a guy on fire.
I did not. It was just spray on deodorant that I brought. I had no idea they were going to use it with a lighter on a kid in 9th grade. To the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, Bill Benner of the Sporting News awaits. Bill, how are you?
Morning.
I'm kind of scared right now what I'm getting into.
You should be.
This isn't college football expansion. This is like, I don't know, man. I'm doing well for now.
This is like Michael Scott when he was doing the prison bit. Prison Mike.
That's right. That's Prison Mike. So, Bill, tell me how college football screwed this up.
Oh, they're all protecting their own conference first. You know, when you have 11 people that are protecting their silos, as Bob Bowlesby said. When you have the funny thing to me is the SEC and the Big Ten are on opposite sides when those are the two conferences that will benefit the most from 8 to 12 teams because they'll get the most teams in the playoffs because they're the two best conferences in college football. So it's funny to me that they're on opposite sides of the spectrum here. The Rose Bowl's in the way, and they're still trying to figure out those automatic qualifiers. I think that's the sticking point to me is they can't decide who should get in and who shouldn't. And you guys were just talking about kids. I mean, when your kids aren't agreeing on something, just take the automatic qualifiers off the table then.
So the Pac-12 is the one that's the most fascinating to me, and you just mentioned the Rose Bowl. And the sanctity of the Rose Bowl must be protected at all costs, Bill. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm hearing, that they don't want to have to compete against a college football playoff game. They want the Rose Bowl to matter and all this. Does the Rose Bowl matter? I mean, I enjoyed that football game, and more often than not, it is a good game. But in the grand scheme, do you think they're overvaluing its importance at this stage?
Yeah, because the game has evolved. And don't get me wrong, I grew up just south of Columbus, Ohio, so the Rose Bowl is a sacred place. I mean, the first time I went out there, it was awesome, right? It was like you appreciate all the history and all that kind of thing. But I mean, if you're an SEC guy, that's the Sugar Bowl. It's not the SEC doesn't care about the Rose Bowl like maybe the Big Ten does, and I think because the game's evolved, they can't let one game hold the entire sport hostage, and that kind of feels like part of what's going on here.
Yeah, and past that, it's like the SEC is going to be all right either way, Bill. Like Sankey knows he might still get 50% of the foursome year after year after year. Probably, I mean, they're going to be all right. The conferences that seem to be going against their own interest in terms of the college football play. I mean, when's the last time a Pac-12 team actually made the college football playoff?
Right, and 2016 in Washington, and then the ACC has just Clemson feel to it. So, yeah, to me, 12 makes sense in a lot of ways. 8 would make sense to me as well, because then you'll get the most quality matchups. And then I think the other part of this, and Gene Smith tipped the hand a little bit, was I don't know that we're going to get the home campus playoff games. I think we're going to get more like the NCAA regional, sites, like Indianapolis and New Orleans and Atlanta. I could see that coming, because I don't think the SEC schools are in a rush to go up to Columbus and Ann Arbor in December, even though I think that's just a dumb point because it's football.
Yeah. One thing we're saying, is talking about expansion and just the growth of the game too. I'll say this. I do think the transfer portal has allowed smaller schools to kind of make headlines moving forward. And I think some of the HBCU schools have kind of, taken advantage of that, especially with Dion being at Jackson State. But there's another coach that was at Jackson State that kind of had to defend a hire that they were going to have with Art Briles. And we saw social media pretty much take that down at Grambling State with Hugh Jackson. How do you view his situation? And what about just the idea that those teams are honestly dipping into the show now?
Well, Dion comes with a lot of flair, like when he was a player. But, to me, you're getting, especially if you're a corner or a safety, you're getting coaching from the greatest cover corner I've ever seen. And he's made no apologies. I like that he's been an outspoken advocate for HBCUs, but I wonder, okay, is he going to be at Jackson State for the next 10 years and try to turn them into something monumental, something that maybe goes up to the FBS, or is he there for 3 years and Florida State makes him an offer he can't refuse? And both of those are on the table to me. When you can take Florida State's top recruit and convince him to go to your school, it's almost like, if you're Florida State, why are you not hiring this man?
Yeah. And I think, to your point, does he do 3? He has to, I think, because his son is a QB there, which he can take him with if he goes to Florida State. And also that number 1 overall prospect from this past class, he's got to see that through, man. But with the addition of these schools emerging, as far as bowl games and just notoriety of spreading the wealth out. Like we got, was Malik Willis, who's probably the best quarterback in this draft from Liberty.
Highest upside.
The highest upside. Like, you don't have to go to a P5 to actually get this going, right? As far as the next level.
Well, I think Malik Willis is the most intriguing player at the Combine in a lot of ways, because he could be a top 10 pick and playing for Hugh Freeze. Now, one of the things that worked against him is, when he had that big picture game this year, didn't play well against Ole Miss. But, that's hard. We know that Ole Miss has more talent, all those things. So, but yeah, I think the transfer portal, to me, the team that kind of embodied that last year, Michigan State used that so well with Mel Tucker. And you get a Kenneth Walker, you get a Kavaris Crouch on defense. They got so many impact players out of the transfer portal. We all picked them to finish last in the Big Ten last year. They won the Peach Bowl.
Oh, wow. With that being said, too, about the portal, we've kind of had this for over 18 months at least, as far as kids being able to be in it. Where are the kids, honestly, if you've been keeping an eye on it, that didn't get out of the portal? Were they allowed back? Are they just no scholarship, no school, no nothing right now?
Well, that's the drawback. And I haven't read anything glaring. They'll find a place to play, but I just think I don't think when this rule was made that the powers that be thought that it would come to this. You know what I mean? Like, thought that we would have this much movement. But again, you're dealing with a different generation of athletes, and there's a lot of, like you said, see it through. That unfortunately isn't the mindset of a lot of athletes. They want to play, and they know this window's limited, and it's not. There are very few Brian Robinsons out there. The guy at Alabama last year that saw it through, fifth-year tailback, finally got his turn and ran with it. That doesn't happen as often anymore.
Aiden Hutchinson, you're in Big Ten country, and you cover that conference very, very closely, Bill. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be an early pick. The draft experts love him. He's incredibly confident when you listen to him talking about what he said he's going to light it up on the next level. So tell us honestly, because I'm kind of just looking at it, and so is Ramon, and we're just trying to figure out what he actually is on the next level. Did Georgia expose him at all? How good is he? Is he overrated a bit because of how much his name was mentioned down the stretch of the season? What's the truth about Aiden Hutchinson?
Well, he'll be a high motor player in the NFL. I don't know that he'll be J.J. Watt or Aaron Donald, and that's what you look for when you draft a guy at number one. Certainly was a difference maker for Michigan last year. Big personality. I don't think the Georgia game exposed him. I just think they were paying extra attention to him. Jamari Sawyer had a great game too, and that's a really good tackle. I'm gonna be honest. If I had a choice, I would probably take Kayvon Thibodeau over Aiden Hutchinson, because in Kayvon Thibodeau, I do see a guy with the potential. Again, I hate doing the Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt thing because that's so hard to touch. But I could see a perennial Pro Bowler in him. And there were games where Kayvon Thibodeau, I watched him last year, even though I know he didn't play against Ohio State, where you knew instantly that was the best player on the field.
Yeah. And to that point, though, about trying to decide who's the best, I think, I'm pro offensive line. So if a tackle went number one, I love that, okay? But there is no clear-cut number one guy this year. And as much as they're going to try to feed a quarterback to us before the draft takes off, there's nobody that you really –
guy's not there this year.
Is not there in general this year.
No, it could be a kind of a – I don't want to say a boring draft, but not – it doesn't have that star power at quarterback. When Willis or Pickett could be anywhere from number 5 pick to a second-round pick. Evan Neal –
love him.
Kwanu, the tackle from NC State, or he can play guard too. I mean, that might not excite people, but he's really good. And then Thibodeau and Hutchinson. So it's like kind of a meat and potatoes draft that, the draft nicks are going to love. But from an interest standpoint, when you don't have that Trevor Lawrence type guy, it's the NFL draft, guys. We write so much about it. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Bill, how does it feel to get scooped by someone named Sliced Bread?
What happened?
No, I'm not saying you guys. It's just like everybody apparently got scooped, right? The Oklahoma fan on the message board that was talking about Texas A&M, and then Jimbo had the comment on it in his presser about collectives and how money was being doled out and all this. What did you think of that whole situation and the way Jimbo Fisher just vociferously stood up and said this absolutely was not a thing, when it certainly feels like maybe not directly, but indirectly it is, because we already know there's collectives springing up all over the country.
Sure. And, that's honestly probably the best way to deal with it, because we know, I mean, when NIL came out, I think we all assumed that Texas A&M and Texas were going to benefit from it because of the big money and everything that goes into football in that state. But I think Texas A&M, the pressure isn't so much with that. Now that you've had these recruiting classes, maybe it's because Jimbo's going to feel the pressure. They're going to be expected to make the playoff now. And they're going to be expected. We've seen them beat Alabama, but they weren't very consistent last year. And maybe Haynes King injury had something to do with that, but they've got the talent to make that playoff run, and now it's on Jimbo to go do it.
As far as that movement, to Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, it is this portal. I heard they have like 3 initiatives that they have as far as football goes with paying deals out. Man, is these pretty much going to be contracts given to these kids at this point, like work-based contracts?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like for example, I was told that one of Quinn Ewer's NIL deals here, by here I mean I live in Columbus. Yeah. It just expired basically because he went to another school, but I mean, he obviously is going to make a ton of NIL money at Texas. So, I mean, and the one thing Lane Kiffin said that makes sense is you want to make sure these kids get what they're promised, and there's really no way to regulate that, right? So right. I think that's one of the things to be concerned about as it moves into the next few years.
So part of his reasoning for leaving also is he had playing incentives, I think, as far as starts. Is this going to be something that coaches monitor when signing these kids? At least it was alleged that he had incentives as far as his NIL, that he had to start or play in a certain amount of games to get a certain amount of yards.
You bring up a good point, because everything I've heard, like in the sound bites, is they say, this doesn't affect the locker room chemistry, and and those kind of things when certain players are getting their deals. But, I mean, you played it. Yeah. You would probably have a better answer for that, because if you were getting these deals in college, they're 18 to 22-year-olds, there are egos involved. I'm sure there's some dynamics to that we're not seeing that could absolutely be part of it. I could be off in thinking that, but that's what I think.
Caleb Williams at USC goes out there. Obviously, that would give you a little bit more hope. But how fast do you think Lincoln Riley is able to compete, assuming you believe that he's going to be able to compete for a national championship at SC with Caleb Williams, who we know what a stud he is?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I think the way that Lincoln Riley coaches offense, the way that the quarterbacks that he had at Oklahoma, I mean, in theory, you would think USC, given the talent that they have every year, would be good enough to win the Pac-12 this year, or at least play in that zip code with Oregon and Utah and the perennial teams that are at the top of it. I think there is the potential with Dan Lanning at Oregon and Lincoln Riley at USC that the Pac-12 gets those two teams that can make playoff runs every year. Oregon was close with Mario Cristobal. They've done a good job of keeping talent on the West Coast, and I think that's the key for USC, is to keep that 4- and 5-star talent from going all the way across the country to Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State.
Well, to your point on Cristobal, we know he's an elite recruiter, and he set things up pretty well for Dan Lanning. You knew Oregon was likely to be in the mix this coming year. Now he gets to sell Miami. Now, Miami's different from a financial perspective and all that. Like, things change, but Cristobal being an elite recruiter and that being kind of a destination city, especially for young guys and young athletes, how well do you think he could do in terms of challenging Dabo and making the ACC more than a one-team race?
I mean, it's stunning to me as somebody that grew up watching Miami dominate in the 80s and then dominate again in the late 90s, that they haven't won an ACC championship.
Wow.
So, and the model's there. We've seen the model work twice with Schnellenberger and Butch Davis, where if you can keep that elite talent in the Miami-Dade area in the state, you're going to do all right. And that's something that Clemson does well. Clemson goes down to Florida and gets elite talent. Alabama and Georgia do that. So, and the Gators do that. So if Miami and Cristobal, who, like you said, he learned all these things from Saban and is a pretty elite recruiter, Miami could be back on that stage. But I'm not going to say the U is back anytime soon, because I need to see him win a conference championship first.
So with that said, Napier's not used to having to recruit like this. So now he's at Florida, and nobody was anticipating him doing anything in this cycle. But how much more difficult does his job become with a Mario Cristobal that learned at the feet of Saban and knows how to bring in the talent? In terms of the talent pool in Florida, there's a lot to go around, but there's a lot that's expected out of that Florida job. As we know, that's what cost Dan Mullen his gig, was not being able to recruit high end.
Yeah, and well, what Napier has that Cristobal and Norvell don't is that SEC patch. I mean, you come play in the SEC, come play at Florida. I mean, Dan Mullen went to 3 New Year's Day Six Bowls at Florida. It's not like it can't be done. So I think Napier learned at Alabama and Clemson as an assistant. He did a really good job at Louisiana. But like you said, we'll know when we know, because he's up in this in the big league, so to speak, right? So I think we'll see how he does. And you can have a top 10 recruiting class in the SEC and still be 5th in the conference.
Ooh.
That's
so true.
That just shows how difficult it is.
Fired. That's the other part of it.
That's right. Bill, you're the best, brother. Thanks so much. We always
Bill.
appreciate the time.
Hey, you guys be well. Thanks so much for having me. Take
Indy. That's Bill Bender of the Sporting News.
That was so real what he said last. The end part is you can still get fired. That's cold.
You'll walk over here, but you're limping back.
Still
he gonna limp back. Scheming on the low.
For real.
We'll come back and read more of your tweets. We're just saying choose violence today. What kind of violence? Fun-ish violence. But some of these are not fun-ish.
Just a cast as far as.
Also, that was Bill Bender, and Schaefer put this in. I didn't know this. John DiMaggio, who voiced Bender in Futurama. He's coming back. He's going to do the voice for the Hulu reboot.
Hey, now.
Got to have the original Bender voice. So that's a saving deal. Also, good news that Futurama's coming back, because it's awesome. We'll be right back. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 Zone. If you missed Bill Bender or the Sporting News, go podcast us wherever you get your podcast. You missed the last 5 minutes of yesterday's show, definitely podcast it.
Yeah.
Little Jimmy, Little Hollywood, whichever way you want to take it. We're on Twitter at JMart and Ramon. We'll read more of your Choose Violence tweets here in just a second. Let's go to Eric in Nashville, though. Eric, what's up?
What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, guys? I have a quick question that I want y'all to look over for me. So I'm not understanding the love affair with Malik Willis, and maybe y'all can help with this. So I'm looking over his stats from Liberty, and I'm seeing that he's like 45th in the league in passing. I think he was like 18th in the league in interceptions, which was like 12, 27 touchdown passes, which was, I think, 12th in the league, and then a 70 QBR. Why is it that he's being talked about? Sorry, guys, I got something in my throat.
thought you got a little bit clear. Talk amongst yourselves.
I was wondering why he was so emotional about
the
this.
Russian Revolution was neither Russian nor a revolution. Discuss.
I'm walking upstairs at work trying to get this out, and it wasn't working. So
Go ahead.
But I just wanted y'all to touch on that for me and kind of explain why he's being touted as a first-round guy. You know, if these are SEC stats, sure, I get it. He's going against NFL talent, but this all happened at Liberty. So, yep, I'll hang up and listen. I appreciate y'all.
There we go.
Look, it's a question a lot of people are going to ask, especially if you look at look what Trey Lance did.
Yep.
Trey Lance barely played in college. I don't know if that's going to work or not. I remember we had Robert Mays on, and he said he's got the highest upside of all the quarterbacks last year.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
I
could it be more like Trey Lance or more like Josh Allen?
It could be, yeah, it could be. I mean, that was a Wyoming story. Yeah, we don't know. I can't tell you because I haven't watched enough Malik Willis yet to tell anybody.
I couldn't tell you a whole lot. I think it's the potential for what you think he can do in the new NFL. Like we spoke about this before, the offenses are changing. I think the reason Pittsburgh is so high strong on him too is one of the teams that's been kind of linked to him a whole lot is because Matt Canada, the OC, this is the offense in which he wants to be able to run, a mobile, move the pocket type of offense. And I think you have more room to achieve success if you have a guy like him to run these types of offenses. I don't know how long these offenses are going to last in the NFL right now. It doesn't seem like they're going anywhere at all. I feel like they think he has the arm, he has the legs to extend plays, make plays. And I in my opinion, Eric, I think it's one of those let's get ahead of the curve. I think if he goes to the right team, they can surround him with weapons. They can surround him with a defense that can say, hey, look, we just need a guy to be dynamic. And instead of having 5 wide, on the field or 4 wide receivers, 1 running back, you got another weapon as far as the Malik Willis goes. So whereas, look, Kenny Pickett is good. He's mobile, but it's an idea of which poison are you going to pick? And truth be told, I'm looking at an evaluation of him now. Best game study was Old Dominion, not a great opponent. Worst game wasn't even the Ole Miss game. They have it as the Louisiana game in 2021. So
no, that was another. I mean, that's another ranked team and a good team.
But
there's a lot we don't know here.
There's clearly been some things they've seen. He's played Syracuse, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Louisiana, Old Dominion, Ole Miss, and UAB. He's seen some talent. But again, I hate to use this guy, Carson Wentz, and went number 1 overall after playing at a Division III. And Trey Lance is another guy that's done the exact same thing. It's the same thing. I have to look and see. I mean, let's look at Kyler Murray. He really played 1, maybe 2 years, transferred out, and became a hot thing. So he was proven and played in a big old conference. Yes, that's 100% true. But I think in a lot of the times you look at the P word of it, like Eric Fisher that played at, Western Michigan or Eastern Michigan coming out of college. If the talent is there, I think some teams feel like they can surround it enough to complete the job.
Look at Corey Davis.
Corey Davis
was a top 5 pick.
Top 5 pick.
Did it work? I mean, you'd have to argue probably not as a top 5, but
okay,
he hasn't been a bust.
Can we say Clowney went 1 overall? Not a bust, but not 1 overall.
It's
production.
It's not an exact science. He came from the SEC.
Yeah,
and he hadn't been number 1 pick worthy. So there's a lot there. 615-737-1045. Buck Reising's at the Combine. He'll join us about 20-ish minutes from right now. Couple of Titans tidbits. Teron Davenport reporting about the guy Rhett told us about yesterday.
He did.
Trevon Burks and what he had to say about watching a little bit of film of the Titans offense. And the NFL Network, NFL.com, ranked the draft classes.
Oh, Jay.
Tots and pairs to John Robinson on this ranking. We'll tell you where the Titans finished after the headlines. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way and it just stayed that way for what felt like forever. That's what happens when it comes to selling your home. You have to list it and you have to keep it ready because you never know when someone want to drop by for what they call a quick look. Or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying. And this goes on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all changed thanks to Open Door. And it's Ramon Foster, and I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com, and I put in my address and home info, and I got an offer back in no time. Listen, it was Open Door takes a look at your house along with the recent sales in your neighborhood to come up with a very competitive offer. Not just that, but a real offer. And there's no listings, no strangers, and no stress. And a real competitive offer just in minutes, okay? So go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know how much you'll get, and you can close when you're ready. And you can do everything online. Simply go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. Again, that's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies. And Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 02061130 in California. Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and there's other markets.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. We go to college basketball from last night. Number 13, Tennessee overcame a slow start to defeat Georgia 75-68. Josiah Jordan James, a career-high 23 points. Kennedy Chandler, 16 points, 4 steals for the Vols. Florida scored the last 9 points of the game to beat Vanderbilt 82-78 last night at Memorial Gym. Flanders Fleming Jr. made a three-pointer with 6.3 seconds remaining. That got the Gators the win. SEC Women's Basketball Tournament begins today at Bridgestone Arena. Vandy takes on Texas A&M at 11 a.m. Auburn versus Alabama at 1:30. We'll be carrying the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament on the 104.5 The Zone app and at 104.5thezone.com. To the NHL, Preds at Seattle to take on the Kraken. Puck drop at 9 o'clock. That's a late one. Preds' first game since Saturday's loss to the Lightning at Nissan Stadium. And Major League Baseball has canceled opening day, scrapping regular season games over a labor dispute for the first time in 27 years. Commissioner Rob Manfred canceled the first 2 series for each of the 30 teams. That cuts the schedule right now from 162 down to 156. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Shafe. 104.5 The Zone.
Y'all got to start planning this stuff out better, man.
Sometimes we just do.
Or do.
I said that before. I was going to try to avoid it, but sure.
I hate it here.
Ramon Foster will be back shortly. Buck Reising.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he quit. I don't know. His laptop's still here, but he can afford another 50 of them.
I don't think he quit.
Buck Reising will join us in the next segment from Indy at the Combine. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster's walking back in the studio. That's nice of him. He decided since I did it, I'm going to do it too.
Hey.
Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin, at J. Martin Ramon.
Y'all got to schedule this stuff better, man.
Hey, at least I'm here at the start of the show.
You actually weren't.
Yes, I am.
No, we've been on for a little while.
Been on for about a minute.
No.
With the update.
But I've been talking.
No, he's
for
actually
about a
been
minute.
talking for about a minute.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
It's 8:06, Mo.
Yeah, welcome back.
5 too slow.
Sometimes we just do.
5 too slow.
Yay.
Trevon Burks, who Rhett really liked potentially for the Titans, and who I said I loved watching him at Arkansas last year.
Yeah.
He has heard comparisons to A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And has heard comparisons to Julio Jones. And talked about both yesterday to Teron Davenport, Mo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
Basically said, yeah, I welcome him. And I've watched a lot of film of the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And it's very interesting that, that he's a guy that the Titans fans, of course, appreciate and like. And he's actually been a part of what they said. This is his tweet from him. Burke said he's watched a lot of 1K Always Open, AJ, and welcomes the comparison he draws. Burks also said he studied a lot of Julio Jones, especially how he runs his slants. 1-1 both equals Titans type of wide receiver. Now, again, that goes to if he's going to be available at that position right there, too. I mean, at that draft pick. And I think most people here say surround Ryan Tannehill with more weapons. You got to protect him from himself.
Most people. That's what John Robinson has said.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, hey, that's the most important voice of them all then. But that's going to be he's definitely a hot ticket item to grab. And you hope that you compliment him with a better free agency, a real good free agency too.
So NFL.com
Uh-oh.
ranked the rookie draft classes.
As far as how good they did, right?
Yeah, just overall performance and how the picks worked out and all this. I'm getting to the top of this. Done by 2 of their writers. It isn't brand new. It's been out now for a few days. We have not discussed it. Chiefs 1, Broncos 2, Miami, Detroit, Cincinnati. That's your top 5. Patriots 6, Cowboys 7, Browns 8, Eagles 9, Texans 10. That's the top 10. Raiders 11, Steelers 12, Chargers 13, Packers 14, Falcons 15, Saints 16, Ravens 17, Bears 18, Panthers 19, Giants 20. There's your top 20. Jets 21, Commanders 22, 49ers 23.
Still no Titans.
Vikings 24. Bills 25. There's your top 25. Buccaneers 26. Cardinals 27. Jaguars 28.
Yeah.
Rams 29. Colts 30. That's your top 30.
F the Colts.
Tennessee Titans 31. D plus. Only team worse, Seattle, who only had 3 draft picks.
You say what you want to, but there's a little bit of pressure to perform at that position here now. Not pressure.
We got a lot of ads in the break that can help out with that.
we got a tight lens. We got a tight lens on John Robinson this year, man, as far as his picks go. And the efficiency of them, too.
Look, and here's how it's written. John Robinson has a habit of rolling the dice in round 1. Sometimes his hand is red hot, Jeff Simmons. Other times he craps out, Isaiah. Unfortunately, the Farley selection fell into the latter scenario in year 1, but for completely different reasons than Wilson. Farley initially viewed as a top 10 overall talent in the draft, but a back surgery 1 month before the draft underscored a concerning injury history and sent his stock tumbling. Robinson stopped the fall at 22. Our doctors and trainers spent a lot of time analyzing all this stuff and talking with Caleb over the phone, he said, after making the pick. We're super stoked to have him as part of our football team. And then the man's injury luck couldn't have been worse. After missing 3 games with a shoulder issue, he made his first start in week 6 and tore his ACL in his left knee, coming 4 years after he tore his right ACL at Virginia Tech. Back on his Sisyphean road to recovery, Farley's easy to root for, but hard to bank on. Just a brutal situation. While they hope Farley can eventually fulfill his promise as an eraser on the outside, the Titans know they have an emerging stud on the inside. Molden proved to be a steal at 100 overall, deftly handling slot corner duties on Vrabel's much-improved defense. This phraseology is tough to hear. The rest of Tennessee's draft class was marred by injuries and invisibility.
Dang.
Fitzpatrick spent most of the year on the practice squad. Breeze finished the season as a Detroit Lion. The Titans did find a nice piece in the undrafted free agent market. Naquan Jones helped fill the nose tackle void left by free agency departure. Daquan Jones. Yeah, so Farley, 3 games, 1 start. Dylan Radins, 12 games, 1 start. That's your first 2 picks. Monty Rice, 10 games, 4 starts. He gave you a little bit.
And there was a little bit more there, I think, too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Elijah Molden, 16 games, 7 starts. Dez Fitzpatrick, 4 games, 0 starts. Rashad Weaver, 2 games, 0 starts. He would have played if he had not been hurt.
Right.
I think he would have started at some point this year.
Yeah.
Racey McMath, 9 games, 0 starts. Brady Breeze, 9 games, 0 starts, including 4 with Detroit. And then Naquan Jones, 13 games, 5 starts. We said last year you gotta have a great draft. This year you really need to have a good draft because we've had 2 in a row where there's a little bit of a question. And a lot of it, look, you can't always predict injuries, but if you roll the dice and guys get injured, you're going to get tagged for that.
Facts. Nobody really wants to hear,
It's a different injury. These things are nobody cares.
As a coach of mine once said, nobody cares about the labor pains, just deliver the baby. Like John Robinson, I'm sorry. That's expected now. And the other part of this, too, is you have a good core of vet guys that you have on this team already, but you have to make sure that you're building your platform off the backs of these rookies, too. Like, that's going to be key because those dudes eventually going to go. I mean, you mentioned Julio, but How sure are we of that? Now, after AJ, if Julio could be a casualty this year, as far as the cap goes, after AJ, where's your hope at? You know? That room is kind of missed at that position. I know Corey came on late, so you can't really justify saying, yeah, you should have kept Corey. You can't say that. Jonnu goes to New England, whether the scheme doesn't fit or he's not the player they thought he was going to be. You lost him still. So you got to start hitting on these guys, and I don't want to say necessarily retaining them, but your Titans picks have to be Titans guys for more than 3 years.
And going more to the line of the Colts and the Titans are mirror images of one another.
Ooh.
With quarterbacks that some people don't trust, a solid running game, pretty top flight number one wide receiver. AJ's above Pittman, but Pittman's very good. The way both of them play defense, there's just a lot about both of them that you could see similarities between. The Colts were 30th on this list. With everybody talking about how great Chris Ballard is, and I agree, he's one of the great GMs in the league. That said, they didn't have a great year. Kwity Paye, that was a good one. 15 games and 15 starts. That's solid. But outside of that, 0 starts for anybody else. Their second rounder, 10 games, no starts. Fourth rounder, tight end, 17 games, 0 starts. Fifth guy, he only played 1 game, 0 starts, and that's with Green Bay. He's not there anymore. They drafted a backup quarterback. He wasn't needed. They drafted a wide receiver in the 7th round who didn't play. I think he was in 6 games with no starts, and then a guard who had 0 starts. So it's Kwity Paye. That's pretty much their entire draft. But if you get a guy that gives you 15 starts as a rookie, that's
so that's saying you're building. He's got a good platform for the next year.
Yeah. All the combined starts for all of the draft picks from the Titans last year. 1, 2, 6, 13. 13 combined starts for 8 draft picks.
Yeah.
And then Naquan had 5 by himself. Undrafted.
Yee. Shout out to the undrafteds, baby.
Sometimes it works.
It does.
Sometimes it works. This guy works a lot, Buck Reising. He'll join us on the other side from Indianapolis. Ask him what he thinks of Trayvon Burks, what he is watching up there, what's some of the conversation, not just surrounding the Titans, but just around the league. What are people talking about today? We'll talk to Buck on the other side. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
When the relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement. Think about that. That is a headache. Or your kids are upstairs flushing the toilet nonstop and you hear a drip on your kitchen floor. I've definitely been there. Or the electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage. Or that musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. Ugh. You need a lot more than just help cleaning it up, okay? But that's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drying all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back to as good as new and as soon as possible. No matter what happens, ServPro is always ready to help. Call the official ServPro of downtown Nashville operators at 800-ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never happened. The number is 800-ServPro, and franchises are independently owned and operated.
sorry ass.
That was my faction's entrance music right here. Made You Look remix.
Fuck
Someday
sorry
I'll
ass.
tell those stories. Mike McCarthy says from the scouting combine yesterday, it's a narrative I don't want to be a part of as it relates to Sean Payton and the Cowboys. I imagine not. I imagine that's not a narrative you want to be a part of.
Trash.
A team that doesn't want you to be a part of them being part of that story. He says, I don't think anybody wants to be a part of it on either side of the fence. In fairness to Sean, he's being asked the questions. Nothing good comes out of that. So, as it goes a little further, it's fine. But, yeah, it's a narrative I don't want to be a part of. Right. Yeah, you want to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I get it. 18-15 in 2 seasons in Dallas.
He's put on notice pretty much already. If he's talking about looking over his shoulder, he's pretty much clipped.
To the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline and to Indianapolis we go. Our pal Buck Reising, the Buck Reising Show, of course, and A to Z Sports on with us. Buck, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, boys? Not much. Just enjoying the state of my youth, the state of my birth here in sunny, scenic Indianapolis, Indiana.
Nap City.
Nap City.
That's Indy. So what's being discussed right now? What's interesting at the Combine? You can talk about it from a Titans perspective, but just overall, what's some of the conversation that you're overhearing?
So, I mean, overall conversations are about, are these quarterbacks actually going to move around, these veteran quarterbacks actually going to move around this offseason? Because, of course, the prospect and underwear Olympics type situation that we are all here for is maybe not quite secondary, but it's almost ancillary to the rumor mill that starts up at this time of year when the entire league is in one place and all drinking in the same bars at night. So the veteran quarterbacks and their movement, or really lack thereof, expected not to be a ton between Rodgers, Wilson, Wentz, probably the most likely. That's been the biggest point of discussion across just general NFL. And then for the Titans, basically, how invested are they truly in upgrading their skill position players to give Ryan Tannehill the necessary help they need? Because, as Mike Vrabel told us at their season's end press conference, we need to be great around him, and they certainly were not that in the playoff game, despite him not being terribly great himself.
So with the quarterback discussion that you were just talking about, what is the feeling? Like, I know there's a lot of question marks around it, but do you get the sense that movement is in the offing for some of these bigger names?
It doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't. For particularly for the two that we mentioned off the top, Rodgers and Wilson, it just doesn't seem like and listen, offers will develop this week. There will be discussions in these back rooms as agents sip white wine and hang out in the hotel lobby. Basically, these conversations are going to be had among representation and among team executives. But as we sit here today on the first day of the prospect interview sessions with the workouts beginning tomorrow, this is not something that looks like there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of movement. I mean, you got coaches talking about it yesterday. Bruce Arians, who's very much in the market for a quarterback at this point, since your boy Tommy left him high and dry. He is always pretty honest, sometimes to a fault, and basically said, it doesn't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of movement in that direction as far as the vets are concerned.
With the way we always look at the quarterback to kind of lead the charge during the draft, Buck, man.
This year, bud.
I know, not this year,
No.
and that's where I'm going with them as far as the underwear Olympics is. They actually do have to throw to these wide receivers there. We got to watch them kind of perform, and you got to question them and say, okay, can they actually put on a good show for the receivers in this class? Which there are some good ones, and a bad showing from one can lead to a terrible one for another, Buck.
Well, and the draft and the boards are all over the place. Like, I was talking to some people yesterday, some scouts, and basically the line of thinking was, player 15 on one team's board might be player 48 on another. There's just that much kind of variance this year in particular, given, everybody's needs. And quarterbacks specifically, like, Senior Bowl was a bleep show, for lack of a better term, not just because, the first day is transitional and you're starting to get comfortable with the wide receivers, the NFL coaching staffs that you're working with, the different people in your ear, and it's a super sanitized environment. And then on the second day, you've got sideways rain that you're trying to throw into, and nobody looks good. Here in Indianapolis, obviously, it'll be done indoors at Lucas Oil. They will look better than they have probably at any given point. Obviously, they'll also have pro days to be able to capitalize on. But, yeah, it's not just their draft stock that hangs in the balance. It's the draft stock of the guys that they're going to be throwing the ball to. And, the benefit of this, and we can say this basically about any class in the last 5 years, and it feels like with the way that the wide receivers are so specialized now, we can continue to have this conversation about there's a bunch of dudes in this draft that can really, really help football teams, provided that they have competent help throwing to them.
And I think that's where I'm at this, with these wide receivers a little bit more than anything. Of course, Teron spoke to, Traylon Burks actually had a little bit of a presser, and, he referenced some Titans guys in this, in his interview. But if you're looking at a guy like him, do you necessarily want him, or does this Titans offense need a take the top off of the defense caliber guy?
Oh, for sure the latter, but, they have a type. It very much looks like Traylon Burks. It's not just because his draft comp is A.J. Brown at this point. He's very much the size and the skill set, play strength and play speed that these guys here in Tennessee tend to gravitate towards. Now, we just got finished wrapping up a media session with Jahan Dotson. The tight ends are actually speaking right now. Caught a few of them right before we jumped on the phone. But Jahan Dotson out of Penn State makes so much sense. So much sense for a diversity of skill set with the wide receiver position. It's just whether this Titans scouting staff and general manager decide that they feel they also need a diversity of skill set, or rather just continue to have redundancies of giant wide receivers.
Yeah, Dotson's 5'7". We were talking to Red yesterday. I think that's who Mel Kiper actually had mocked to the Titans was Dotson. But when you look at a guy like Tyreek Hill, who he's listed at 5'10", but we don't really believe he's 5'10", if you get a guy that's going to potentially this week run a sub 4.40, that's a hell of a weapon when you already have a physical wide receiver as your top guy in A.J. Brown.
Yeah, well, you just need to get the extra defender the hell out of the box. You don't put the quarterback and the running back in this position every single time, because you're already predictable. You're one of the most predictable teams in the league. And listen, to their credit, what they do works more often than not.
Yeah.
So easy for us to kind of nitpick. But, in these moments where their deficiencies are clear and obvious, and everybody under the sun has them figured out because they do what they want to do, and that's how they've decided that they want to play football. Even down to the playoff game, right, where Vrabel's talking about that this felt like our kind of game until it very much wasn't. So I am inclined to agree. Again, my opinion means absolutely nothing. So I'm just here to observe and see what the hell they do and then talk about it afterwards.
So we talk about lists all the time. NFL.com put up a list ranking the rookie classes and the performance in the draft last year. The Titans are 31 out of 32 teams.
Sure.
Past that, whatever, rankings are whatever they are, but how crucial how crucial do you feel this draft is for John Robinson in terms of his reputation as a drafter? Even though he's found some studs and the team is winning games, and that makes you forget about a lot, last 2 years have been a bit of a struggle.
Sure. And listen, they're very much that 19 class is their saving grace, right? Where you have 6 picks, you pull out 5 starters, and it can really patch a lot of the holes that you've self-inflicted basically in the last 2 drafts. Now, again, you can't throw out 2020, but I always grade that one on a particular kind of curve, because that was the last time we were up here in Indianapolis for the Combine, right before things went crazy. And, of course, that was when they fell in love with Isaiah Wilson. So, it's, you look at these things individually. But here's what I'll say. The only reason this godforsaken thing still exists in its present form is because of the medicals. Without the medicals, the Combine would not be a tenth of as relevant as it is. And for the Titans in particular, when you've got, for example, a Jamison Williams sitting there, potentially in the lower half of the first round, coming off an ACL tear, and you have to make sure before you draft him that you feel confident enough in the medicals this is a year where you really have to reevaluate how you've kind of tried to get talent at value with your lower draft picks the way that they have in the last couple of drafts, because this is a team that desperately needs instant impact, and you cannot continue to have first-round picks for 3 straight years be a non-factor as rookies. It's untenable and it's unsustainable.
With that instant impact, I think you say that because of where this team is. You got a quarterback that you'll have to make a decision on within the next couple of years. You got a running back that, hey, you hope he get back to form. You got this O-line that if you keep it together or move 1 or 2 parts, you got it. The defense is as solid as it could be, maybe other than linebacker and maybe one of your corners. You're solid in some good areas. But with the Titans having a first and not a second round pick, do you expect them, Buck, to kind of make a move to sacrifice? I mean, it seems to me that the LA Rams method kind of worked when it comes down to draft picks and trying to find a way to maximize your, like we like to call it, Buck, window.
Yeah, no, I'm with that for sure. And there will be, I mean, listen, it's the biggest cliche in the world is copycat league, right? Everybody, once somebody wins a Super Bowl, everybody tries to figure out if they can do the same thing. And whether the Rams are replicable or not is an entirely different question, because it's almost as much luck as timing, and timing as what they did to make those things work. It just all came to fruition in the way that they needed it to their credit, right? They did the job. But with this situation, particularly with the tight ends, there's right now as we sit here, somebody's going to improve their draft stock, right, dramatically because of the combine and the way that the narratives start to spin out of control. But there's no tight end 1, clearly and obviously, but there's plenty of them that could go in round 2 and put you in a real bad position because you don't have that second round draft pick. So, I mean, in reality, they're going to have to wait basically until they see how the board kind of breaks to make that decision. I mean, those conversations will, of course, hatch here, or really hatched in Mobile, and start to further develop here between John and his peers in other front offices. But right now, I mean, it looks like it would make the most sense to move out of the first round just based on what their needs are and where the strength of this particular draft is. Because if you want offensive linemen and edge rushers, they got those in spades.
Yes,
in the
sir.
first round. But they do need offensive line help, and if Harold walks or they let him walk for one reason or another, then the conversation changes entirely. But before we get to that point, they got to draft. So,
is anybody up there expecting a quarterback to impress? Are they waiting to see if a quarterback can impress, or is everybody just pretty much out on these guys as being anything like what we've come to anticipate in recent years, Buck, from the quarterback class, especially guys with first round grades?
Yeah, there's nobody here that would be even remotely comparative to the last 2 quarterback draft classes. And basically, we were all walking into the holding pen where they keep all us media vultures for basically the next 5 days. And I was talking to some people who specialize in quarterback evaluation, and basically the comment was, I'm trying to talk myself into one of these guys, which is exactly what NFL teams are doing. So, nobody here is going to be the savior of a bad football team, which is, of course, teams that are picking at the top, except for the Jags, because they've already got a quarterback to ruin.
It's really 2 guys that I'm really following to see what kind of traction they get, simply because there's questions behind them. Aiden Hutchinson, because why? His film doesn't correlate to what the hype is to me. And Buck, I can be wrong. And the other one is
I've seen him get flattened a couple times.
And the team that he played in the CFP, the guy that was on that team, Jordan Davis. Watching how either he'll go up or confirm what they thought about picking the D tackle in the first round, man, of his size. It's not picking a D tackle. It's picking a guy his size that can play not just 1 and 2 downs, but 3. What is his mobility? What is his speed going to register, on the 40, and his explosion with the high jump and long jump, Buck? Those 2.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, think about it this way, all right? Because Lucas and I were actually having this conversation. It might have been on air. I can't remember the other day. But Jeffrey Simmons went 19th overall, right, in the 2019 draft. 2 picks before him was Dexter Lawrence, who is the closest comp to Jordan Davis who I can find. Now, if you don't recall Dexter Lawrence, he was a mountain of a man that played for the Clemson Tigers on one of the better defensive lines in the country. But in today's game, you cannot just have these 330, 40-pound space eaters as first-round picks. That's basically the conversation around Jordan Davis, because you saw the way that Alabama gassed him in the SEC championship game. They kept throwing passes out to the hash marks, making him move side to side. You saw he wasn't able to stay on the field, and the reason Kirby lost that first game before winning the title was he didn't adjust. They just let him try and run it out, and it didn't work the way that it has worked against every other college football team. Aiden Hutchins is going to probably be a top 3 pick, provided that the medicals are sound and that everything doesn't go to hell, just because of the nature of how people value that position. But with Jordan Davis in particular, he's one of the most attractive college players in the country, just because he's built like the Incredible Hulk. But in reality, when you get to the NFL game and the conditioning necessary, especially for a man that size, I think it's entirely possible you see him in the bottom half of the first round and potentially even the high second.
Give me 1-2 guys you're most excited to just watch and see how they perform this week.
Oh, that's a good question. Obviously I've fallen. Maybe this is bias that I shouldn't have coming in, but I'm a bit in love with Jahan Dotson, the Penn State wide receiver that I mentioned. And I'm more than anything, I don't want to just cop out and say the whole quarterback position,
right?
But I'm dying to know who QB1 is too. Malik Willis probably made the most of a name for himself at Mobile, given the conditions, and Kenny Pickett can only run from talent evaluators so long before they finally hold him down and make them make him measure his hand size. But I really think Jahan Dotson is probably my top interest, and Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end out of Ohio State. But then, basically what the hell happens with the quarterbacks?
Yeah, so Willis, we had a caller ask about Willis, and look, we're asking the same questions. Like, they're asking us about Malik Willis, and I'm saying, look, I didn't watch a lot of Liberty football. I just got to be honest. I haven't seen a ton of Malik Willis.
More than I care to in the last couple of weeks.
So tell us then, how good, what is his upside? What is it that makes him potentially a first-round talent or maybe the best guy in this class?
So, he does have exceptional arm talent. He really does. And the way that he manipulates the pocket, it's super fluid. Again, we're talking about a much different level of football that he was playing at Liberty than he will face here in the NFL. But I do think if there is a team that wants to, one, adapt their system to make it work around this player in particular, i.e. Philadelphia and what they've been able to do with Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Maybe it's not the most successful strategy, but can you win football games playing that style? Yeah, of course you can. You just have to be willing to adapt and know when you take a player like that he's going to need some work. All of these guys have plenty of areas that they can develop in, and Malik Willis is, we're just going to have to see how he holds up against higher levels of competition. He didn't look great in the Senior Bowl game itself. About a month ago in Mobile, but he has a lot of these things that get talent evaluators drooling, especially when there is just such a wasteland at the quarterback position, and you start to slowly talk yourself more into these guys the more time you spend in a film room watching it over and over again on a clicker.
So give us a preview of the Buck Reising experience today from Indianapolis.
I'm going to be yelling in a giant convention center hall about 100 feet away from the bench press, and John Robinson is going to be on the show today, so I'll make sure to pepper him with all kinds of questions about things he doesn't want to talk about, like Harold Landry and franchise tags and all manner of things that I'm sure will be enjoyable. We're going to have a bunch of people who are hanging out in the media holding pen because they have nowhere else to go, so I'm going to put them on the radio show. It'll be a lot of fun.
By the way, little birdie early this morning texted me and said, you are now new car Buck.
Yeah.
Number one,
Ooh.
okay. And secondly,
I got a whole story about that.
You should have just taken the new car on the road because you had a battery die last night.
That's correct. My car died. My car died at a gas pump in Louisville, Kentucky. I had to sit there, wait for AAA to come bail me out. Thank God. And this is Two Rivers Ford is the best because they were like, "Yeah, you just take the car to Indy." I'm like, "Nah, I'll put miles on the old one. It'll be fine. We'll ride it out." And sure enough, I literally die at the pump. I try to start the thing up again, and it just sputters and squeaks and dies right there on the. Right there at the gas station. But we made it. So.
104.5, the home of flat tires and dead batteries.
It's these somebody get the only reason we have radio shows It's to yell at things that people will fix for us and to get good dinner reservations. Like T-Dot, do something already.
Yeah, we've discussed.
We've discussed.
Buck, have a good show. We'll be listening, brother.
Thanks, boys.
Indeed, that's Buck Reising. Yeah, look, sometimes you overthink it.
Yeah, you do.
Take the new car. You know why you bought the new car? To put miles on it. I'll put some more miles on the old one. I don't want to put it on the new one. Yeah, eventually you're going to.
Man.
I drove to Manchester yesterday, and I was like, do I want to?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course I have to. That's why I bought the car.
It's depreciating anyway.
Exactly. That's why I bought the car.
Oh, hey.
When we come back, birthdays, it's a pretty good birthdays day.
Yeah.
It is. It's solid. I think there's going to be some good ones for you. I think there's going to be some. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
We don't have time for that, man.
Baker Birdwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance, education, products, and services. What is your most valuable asset? Your home? Think again. It is your income. And it may sound crazy, but let me explain. Let's say you make $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old, which is very young, by the way. Even if you never get a pay raise, you'll make $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million, even in this Nashville crazy housing market. And as a former athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or my career, but I'm sure the same applies to you as well. Have you considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure it up to 60% tax-free. Don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck. And one thing we've kind of found out is bad things do happen to good people. But Baker Birdwell, they are the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions in income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure that you are properly insured. And the best thing about them is they are local and they just simply want to see their community be protected. So give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit the website at bakerbirdwell.com.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Fourth hour straight ahead. Well, that's fun. We'll finally do this Aiden Hutchinson topic a little bit more in detail about the difference between college and the NFL to open up the fourth hour. Let's get right to it. Some sports birthdays. Benjamin Roethlisberger.
Hey, I got to hit him up.
40.
40?
40. Ross Tucker, 43. Sebastian Janikowski, 44. Malcolm Butler, 32.
He's talking about coming back, by the way, too.
Taywan Taylor, 27. Tua Tagovailoa, 24.
Hey.
Tua Tagovailoa, QB, Alabama.
I ain't know we still had that drop.
Chris Bosh, 33.
Only?
As well.
He's just 33?
Why? How is he 30? It might be that's his brother. Or 38. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
I was just
going
going
to
to say, there's no way he's only 33. He'd still be playing.
38.
Oh.
Or maybe he had blood clots, so his career was kind of
What's
short.
going on with your left eye over there, man? Come on.
That is a demerit. Somebody's going to be playing. I just read the wrong number. I fixed it.
Okay. Don't be so salty.
We'll do it live. John Bon Jovi is 60.
Slippery when wet.
And he's playing Nashville. Heard that ad earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you were listening.
Did not know his son was dating Millie Bobby Brown.
Didn't know that either.
I don't know who Millie
Bobby Brown
is.
plays 11 in Stranger Things. It's a big deal.
Like I got left out of it.
Daniel Craig is 54.
Daniel Craig.
Come
No
on.
way.
Come on.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to know this?
Yes.
The Office?
It's James Bond, Moan.
Freak, dude. If it's good or not.
James Bond, Knives Out.
Daniel
He
Craig.
did 40 Bond movies, Ramon.
Knives Out 2 coming out this year.
He wasn't in Menace to Society? No, I don't remember.
This
his
one's
name.
just interesting because of recent occurrences.
talking about
Bryce Dallas Howard is 41.
BDH? Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yeah, those are hers. Those are her
literally
initials.
mentioned her yesterday.
That's why I find this so interesting.
You really think I'll be listening to you? I ain't
Who
listening to
were we
you.
talking about yesterday? Ron Howard.
Oh, that's his daughter.
Yeah, well, you don't get credit for that now, but
Gotta start paying attention.
What movie, Moan?
What movie?
Yeah.
Poetic Justice.
Stop it.
Can't do this anymore.
Stop it.
She was in Cheers. Ugh, I got it. Okay.
Nope. Mikhail Gorbachev is 91.
Mikhail Gorbachev.
Wow, I didn't know he's still alive.
That's bad. Was he in Jackass? You
No,
mentioned
that's the current guy in charge of Russia.
Oh, there we go.
Gorbachev, former Russian prime minister.
Oh, okay.
You really didn't know?
Wish you had him back.
Yeah.
I'll give him a little bit of slack since he's younger than us, and we were pretty young when Gorbachev was in power, but man.
Deborah says she didn't know who Daniel Craig was either.
Well, you know what, Deborah?
That is a demerit. You should know who Daniel Craig is. Luke Combs is 32.
Country music.
Okay.
Hey.
Natalie Emanuel is 33.
Natalie Emanuel. Wings.
33, Mom. Natalie Emanuel, the Fast series, probably most known.
I was thinking Fast and Furious.
I didn't know who that was.
I'd finish
Look
it
her
before
up
you
during
said
the
it.
break. Work computer's okay, but be careful.
Ish.
And Rebel Wilson is 42.
Rebel Wilson, country music star. Am I right?
Oh,
No. She wasn't in Reba?
No.
No, that's Reba.
I thought Rebel
Not
Wilson.
Rebel.
She had a TV show, didn't she?
Yeah.
Reba did?
No, Rebel.
She did.
Did she have a TV
She
show?
wasn't an artist? I thought she had a TV show.
She's not a musician, Mo.
Let me look this up.
You're wrong. That's the important factor here. Fourth hour coming up. We'll talk about Aiden Hutchinson and
Oh, the comedian.
him saying he's going to light it up. Right. That's not a singer. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
I hate it here.
Hey, so when you found that dream home, you're looking on the apps or whatever it is, and you found the one that you want, the one that's right for your family, you realize there's a bunch of other buyers that are trying to do the exact same thing and are looking at the exact same house. So now you're trying to get your offer selected. So you've got to feel certain. You can't be unclear about whether or not your loan's going to be approved. So if you get pre-qualified with a lender before you start house hunting, that's how you stand out. That's how you're ahead of the crowd. It gives you and the people that are selling that home that your dream come true, an extra layer of reassurance. And if you're working with a lender where you're just not able to get in touch with them in the right way, the communication's not good, there's no transparency, the service isn't good, it's slow, everything just feels off. That ain't good, because that can make you miss that closing date and potentially lose that dream home. And if you're experiencing that, one, you're probably not alone, but you're also not stuck. It just means it's time to reach out for a second opinion. As the Southeast's leading mortgage lender, it's Mortgage Investors Group. They're here to help you get not just any home loan, but the right home loan. They care. They're experts at what they do. They're committed to helping you close on time, structure things right, realize those dreams. I want you to do the smart thing and let Mortgage Investors Group do the work for you. Let MIG get it done. Go to migonline.com. That's migonline.com to get started, to find the office nearest to you, to get that pre-qualification process rolling, or you can text MIG. That's the three letters MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan. Equal housing lender, license number 109111.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Let's go to college basketball from yesterday, shall we? Number 13, Tennessee won at Georgia 75-68. Slow start for the Vols, but they were able to overcome it. Josiah Jordan-James, a career-high 23 points. Kennedy Chandler, 16 points with 4 steals for the Vols, who are currently tied for second place in the conference with Kentucky. Florida, last 9 points of the game against the Dores, beat Vanderbilt 82-78 last night at Memorial Gymnasium. OVC men's basketball tournament starts today in Evansville, Indiana, as March Madness is here. SIU Edwardsville take on TSU at 6:30. Tennessee Tech taking on Austin Peay at 9 o'clock. SEC women's basketball tournament beginning today at Bridgestone Arena. This game at 11 a.m. today. Vanderbilt taking on Texas A&M. Auburn will take on Alabama at 1:30. We will be carrying the SEC women's basketball tournament on the 104.5 The Zone app, also on the website at 1045thezone.com. NHL Preds at the Seattle Kraken. Late puck drop for us, 9 o'clock for that one. Preds' first game since Saturday's loss to the Lightning at Nissan Stadium. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your Over the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. The Zone.
Quote, we have a great friendship. We really do. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot in our profession. We've also been through a lot in our personal lives. We kind of paralleled a lot of things in our personal lives as well. We've helped each other get through a lot of that. I know that's not the norm. I think a lot of partners get along, but to be as good of friends as what we are, I mean, he truly is one of my best friends, unquote. That's Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman, who's going to ESPN and is trying to take Joe Buck with him. And ESPN, and apparently Fox is going to let him talk to him. Buck is making $11 million a year for Fox.
Joe Buck is?
He's making $11 million a year for Fox. Can you imagine Joe Buck not being on Fox? Buck and Aikman really close friends, but that would be Monday Night Football, like immediately. Originally, Al Michaels wanted Troy to be his guy on Thursday night on Amazon. He took the ESPN gig. If you get Buck, then you've got your baseball announcer.
Yeah,
that's the biggest loss for Fox. I don't know how you replace Joe Buck.
Wow.
If you're controlling the World Series, because to me, Buck is synonymous with it at this point in his career. But the other speculative thing that I've seen is now Amazon's coming after Sean McVay to try and lure him away from the NFL to tag up with Al Michaels for Thursday Night Football.
The numbers were about, what, $15 million?
It's pretty high.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, his numbers were about $15 million to leave coaching.
I don't think it will happen.
Ooh.
But it's just very interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a couple pieces. Somebody's gonna have to explain this one to me. By the way, this show is called JMart and Ramon.
Yeah, it is.
I will not leave for less than $12 million
a year. Not over 12 years.
A lifetime.
Yeah.
I saw a piece written somewhere saying that the guy that I don't even know who it was, and maybe it was a repost, that the guy that they need to put Al Michaels with, the guy they need to go after with everything they have is Phil Simms.
Phil Simms?
The only reason I want Phil Simms back in the booth is so that Phil Simms quotes comes back, because it was one of the great social media follows ever.
Straight up, I never knew that. Well, I didn't also know about Magic Johnson tweets either.
Yeah, well, these aren't tweets. These are like actual comments that Phil makes in game.
Jeez Louise.
That just get destroyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's interesting things.
Phil Simms, goodness gracious.
Monday Night Football booth is a wrap.
What's crazy is we have free agency with analysts and people just covering the games, man. It's actually kind of cool.
When you think of Fox, you think of Buck.
Yeah.
You've come to. I mean, he's been there pretty much. He became the number one guy when Summerall retired, and he joined in '94.
Yeah.
Like Nance, I think, joined CBS somewhere around '88. one of the first games I remember, I think him calling was the 89 final, I think, in the Final Four with Michigan and Seton Hall that went to overtime. Glenn Rice playing for Michigan at that point. But the first call that I really remember, Nance, was UNLV Duke, the 91 semifinal where Duke won and then went on to win the championship. Him and Billy Packer. It was one of the great – I love that call. I've listened to that game. I've watched that game because my dad had it taped probably a couple hundred times from living on Tobacco Road. Speaking of Coach K, Saturday's his final game, his final home game at Cameron against North Carolina.
Wow, Coach K.
So that's going to be that's going to be a scene. Yeah. Is what that's going to be.
No doubt about it. I think Jordan will be there for sure, right?
I don't know.
I mean,
there's going to be a lot of people there. Carolina would like nothing more than to win that game. Not just because they hate Duke, but
kind of need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of need it.
Aiden Hutchinson said, to be honest with you, I think my game is going to flourish in the NFL because I watch a lot of NFL film and I see the differences in the game, just the way those quarterbacks hold on to the ball longer. I look at that. I'm licking my chops because you go to college, you get so many RPOs, balls out like that, and you get to the quarterback, no sack, no nothing. I think when I get to the NFL, I'm going to light it up. I'm going to do what I do, and that's rushing the passer, getting sacks. So here's the topic. Aiden's watching film, and he's seeing quarterbacks he thinks are holding the ball a long time, which he's seeing a different league than me because a lot of those guys are getting the ball out in less than 3 seconds. Now, you can potentially get to some with the bad O-line, but Aiden Hutchinson playing on a solid defense with a bunch of talented guys against overmanned offensive lines, dominant. And I still think when you look at Aiden Hutchinson, the guy that you are hoping he becomes if you draft him, if you're Detroit, for example, at 2, he's an in-house guy, in-state guy, is JJ. Not TJ, but JJ.
I think he's big like JJ.
Yeah. The thing that I don't know that he understands, Mona, and I don't know that anybody can. You can, obviously, but nobody that didn't play in the NFL level and the college level could do this. But does Aiden Hutchinson realize the quality of O-line he's going to see from the worst teams in the league compared to what he experienced and dominated on the college level?
For him to say that, he's put a mark a little bit on his back. You know, he's done that. And what Aiden Hutchinson has failing to realize also is he's playing against some guys who are freshmen, some guys who are sophomores, some guys who are bad seniors that don't have a shot at being that 1% that gets selected to the NFL, you know, even as a free agent. You know what I'm saying? That these guys have time on their hands to study him, to break him down, to say, look, I can break him down right. He plays too high with his chest. He gives you his chest even outside. If you beat him to the corner with his hips, you just push him on by. He doesn't have the ability to me if I'm going against him or I got a young guy asking me, how do I block Aiden? Hit him on his shoulder and run him by and don't stop blocking him, period. Like, it's not a matter of, you know, having the ability to get to the quarterback. Well, if you're going against a special type of guy, and most of the offensive linemen in the league at least block him in the sense that long as you finish him, he's ineffective. I don't know if there's one thing that Aiden Hutchinson does that's going to blow you off your socks and be like, oh, yeah, he's him. TJ Watt, awesome. Bends the corner, can turn his hips and get to the quarterback. Also has a crazy finish. Aiden Hutchinson, I give him that, has really good finish. JJ Watt, very specific, awesome, good hips, can bend the corner, can push a guy back, all of those things too. Let's look at a guy like Harold Landry. Same thing, can bend the corner, get to the quarterback, good closing speed. Bud Dupree, powerful, good against the run, can get to the quarterback and at least set the edge. I don't know if I've seen Aiden Hutchinson really do that other than the fact that he moves around on the field good enough and he has what they knocked other guys in his league for: garbage sack, finishing sacks, not necessarily beating guys one-on-one. I hadn't seen him do that enough to say, yeah, he's my guy. I saw him playing against the Northwestern offensive lineman this past, when I'm watching film, I'm like, not overly impressive. So for him to say quarterbacks are holding the ball, one, I don't see that to be all the way true. Even Ryan Tannehill gets the ball out fast.
Okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say it is true. But how much longer is it going to take you, Aiden, to get to the quarterback, considering what's in front of you before you get to that level?
It's going to be that more than anything.
If it takes you an extra second, then you're not going to get there in time.
He's not beating guys the same way the kid at Alabama is beating him. for him to be
Talking
this.
about Will Anderson.
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson was the best player in the country.
He's number one pick right now.
Absolutely. I don't think it's. I don't even think it's arguable.
Coaches are probably mad that they can't get him right
That's
now.
what they felt
okay?
about Trevor a few years ago. He couldn't take him even though he was ready.
Exactly. So for him, I'd say be humble, be cool for a little while until you see what it's going to be like. Get to camp, beat some rookies first before you start talking like that. And I'm not old man saying, hey, I don't believe he can play. Clearly, he has the talent. He has the ability to get to the quarterback, but I don't know his efficiency of getting to the quarterback is better. Trey Hendrickson, I'm taking college Trey probably all day over him, man.
I'll tell you, I'll tell you who another number 2 pick that I felt like was a slam dunk was Bosa.
100%.
Nick Bosa. That's a different animal than Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay, so
both guys in the same conference,
same competition,
similar kind of competition.
But when you look at Bosa, you say he's got hips, he's got speed, he knows how to use them hands. Aiden, for him to be talking like this, he gives up his chest and plays way too high. Like, there's times when you're blocking the Bosa brothers, and I've played against both, they're literally like grazing grass with their face masks. They're so low.
And Nick Bosa's got he's got one hand up in the air like this. He's like his movement frightens me before the snap.
I know Aiden Hutchinson runs choppy to me. Bosa, fluid. Who's another guy? Von Miller.
That's just there's nothing else to say.
I know. I'm just trying to compare him to guys who warrant that type of attention, man. Heck, we could even go. He's not a top 3 to me.
I mean, he can prove everybody. He could prove those of us that are a little skeptical of it wrong, but he's going to have to do it. And him talking. I'm glad he's confident, but I don't know that you don't want to sneak up on some people, right?
No,
when you mind sneaking, if you're good enough, it's not going to matter what you've said because you've already pulled it off.
Say that in the team meet, like in your team one-on-one.
Just say it on Sundays, and then let people start asking you about it and say, yeah, you know what, the game has slowed down a little bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in as a rookie, I still got a lot to learn, but I like my progression. I like where I am.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of stuff, instead of I'm going to light it up and sack all these quarterbacks. Because O-line guys, I imagine, are hearing that like, all right, we'll see.
Yeah, I got you. You hear me talk about it, and I'm almost like, it's very disrespectful for you to say that.
I knew that was the word.
It was very disrespectful. Like,
sound like, these O-line have got nothing for me.
Like,
okay.
Truth be told, that's like, what's his name? Sam Bradford getting $72 million. Like, very disrespectful. Like, you hadn't even done anything yet, Aiden. I'm a little hard on him, but pause. But what
in the world?
He doesn't. The film doesn't do it for me. What happened?
Yeah, 615-737-1045. We'll continue talking about this on the other side. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. PAI Medical is helping thousands of men and women in something where it affects your confidence, it affects the way you go about your life. It's just something else to think about that you kind of wish you didn't have to think about it, and it's hair loss. A lot of people suffer it. And once it starts, it continues. But if you have the right team on your side, you'd be surprised at what can be done and how far this industry has gone. Surgical procedures, non-surgical procedures, PAI Medical has all of it. And they have something within your budget. There are affordable payment plans that can fit anybody's budget. They're experts. They are some of the best people that I have encountered in my time in Nashville. They've been doing this for over 25 years. They care about hair, and they have plans, not just in terms of your finances. They got plans that actually work. They got procedures that work. Everything works. 615-376-6010. I went to them because my crown was thinning just a little bit. And I knew some people that had gone to PAI. And it's been one of the best decisions that I've made. I'm starting to see just a little bit of that growth. And over the next few months, it's going to take off. It's about a year process, which is actually exactly what you want. You don't want it to feel overnight. It's your hair in the first place, and you want it to come back in naturally. 615-376-6010. Talk to my friend Michael Ramsey and everybody over at PAI. Tell them you heard me talking about it, and you want to see what they can do for you. You will be impressed, I promise. 615-376-6010 or online at wegrowhair.com. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. All Four Seasons Garage Doors is why we're here. All4seasonsgarages.com. Go there. By we, I mean 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports. At JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Is this like some mix between Gary Clark Jr. and Rage Against the Machine?
No, this is the Prophets of Rage project that had Chuck D, Cypress Hill, and members of Rage.
Okay. I could tell. You can always tell if Tom Morello's involved in it. You can tell that guitar from 18 miles away.
Yeah, it was a great supergroup project they did.
Cypress Hill documentary on Showtime.
I've heard it's
in a
really
couple of weeks. I actually have a screener of it in my email.
I'll have to check that out later.
I'm real tempted to take you up on your snowfall. It's freaking awesome, man, by the way.
Yeah. Season's coming back here in a couple of weeks. Let's go to Cousin Paxton. What's going on, Pax?
What's up, Pete?
Yo, guys. How are y'all doing this fine morning?
Man, it's
Can't complain.
sunny outside. I'll take it.
Man. Hey, I'm loving the weather. So I wanted to kind of change gears real quick, man. Obviously, you guys do a phenomenal job of talking sports and then just talking life. And you know, you guys have me cracking up every morning. But we all know what's going on with over in the Ukraine with Russia and the war. I want to kind of give a special shout out, man, to Titans Twitter, man, who has been super phenomenal. I don't know if you all know this or not, but we have one of our own who lives in the Ukraine. It's Eddie O'Reilly, and you can find him at Eddie_O'Reilly, OREILY. You guys go give him some love. One of our own also created a GoFundMe account, and that's Haley. She's at HeyBay42. Created a GoFundMe for this young man and his family, obviously because they had to be evacuated. So if y'all could take some time and just go maybe go visit those pages and donate what you can and help with what you can and continue, man. And I say this to you guys, man. Y'all have the pleasure of having Titans Twitter behind you guys, you know, with what you all do and then y'all's main core audience being Titans Twitter, man. This is a phenomenal fan base for doing what they do. So I had to give a shout out, man. I'm loving it. I'm feeling the love, and it's great, man. It's very wholesome. So I'm loving all of that.
Absolutely, man.
Really appreciate that phone call and appreciate that information. I mean, usually when you hear Twitter, your eyes start to roll because you know what it can be. But there's a lot of good that can be done there as well. And it's always good to know that not just because they're part of our listening audience, but people in the community are rallying in a situation that is kind of uniting us all right now.
It is, man. It's an unfortunate situation in general, man. We're talking about humanity and people and doing the right thing, man. Of course, me being an adult now, you know, seeing this type of stuff during my lifetime opens your eyes that, you know, we as a people society, as a world, just got to be better. And it's kind of cool, like Paxton said, being interconnected like that. The connectivity sometimes kind of makes the world too small. But in that, it kind of brings you together with situations like this. So seeing different nations and groups kind of surround those people in Ukraine and just honestly, it seemed for the most part, I don't know what their dictator's going to do, but for the most part, everybody's just saying, hey, no, we're not going to stand for this, you know? And I think if we here specifically in America can do that for each other and one another, man, we be better here. And that kind of pushes out to the world, man. So, P, I appreciate you bringing light to that, dog.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing.
It is. It is.
It really is. And it definitely needs to be pointed out and shouted out when you see it. Russell Wilson says, I love the East Coast, but the West Coast is just better for me now. Now, obviously, he's still with the Seahawks, so he's not going to say too much. And he's also somebody that's pretty savvy, understands the game. But he was asked about potentially joining Washington, and he said, nah. I love the East Coast, but I think the West Coast is better for me right now. I got my whole family over here. I'm from Richmond. I know what you mean. I got people hitting me up every day. There's people from the East Coast, friends of him and his wife, that have talked to them. But then he says, Seattle's the place I'm at right now, and I love it. It's great, man. The key, there's two words in there that are very key. I'm going to reread that, and I bet you can tell me what they are. Seattle is the place that I'm at right now, and I love it. It's great, man.
Right now.
Correct.
Right
That's
now.
the only part of that even matters. The rest of the sentence is whatever.
And you know, to Russ's defense, can I say this about this situation? I didn't want to go to the West Coast at all. You know, you've played scenarios in your head. I'm sure you play scenarios about how your meeting was going to go yesterday. You know, whether all of those type of things come into play, Jay. I played the scenario if I ever got traded. You know, it's one of those things. I'm pretty sure I talked to Keisha about this too. It's like if I ever got traded. Like I was like, man, don't send me to the West Coast. Far West I want to go is Arizona. But in my mind, I was like, but I go to Seattle. Mm-hmm. I just like the environment of how they embrace sports. Mm-hmm. I have what do you want to call it? I like the way what Seattle as a city looks like at times, although the rain and stuff.
That used to be one of my favorite cities in the country. The two cities I loved that were sort of a little off the beaten path, always loved St. Louis. Okay. And I always loved Seattle. There was an old mentality. I love the arch in Seattle, just like I love the Space Needle the arch in St. Louis and the Space Needle in Seattle. There's just something about both of them I like.
And I don't know what it is, but I was like, I could see myself visiting and staying in Seattle for a little while because, of course, like Russ seems to be a very open guy. He can go. Seattle might be a place he can be himself. It is West Coast, quick to LA if he wants to. Sierra's in that industry. It makes sense. But the other part, though, Jay, and we kind of said this off air, is it's what he's supposed to say. And if he doesn't say those things, he devalues his tradability to go to another team.
That was the problem with the whole Shannon Sharp, Julio Jones thing.
Yes, sir.
Is that devalued leverage.
Yes, sir. Antonio Brown did the same thing.
Melvin Gordon
did the same thing. I mean, the fact that you knew Vaughn wanted out of Denver.
Yeah.
Kind of forced Denver's hand a little bit. Odell. Cleveland couldn't get anything for him. Russ, smart guy. Why does he sit next to Roger Goodell all the time? Well, Russ, if you're going to do this, you got to say you want to be in Seattle. Seattle, I feel like is at a strong turn point to what they're going to do with their franchise. They got to get something for Russ if Russ doesn't want to be there, for sure.
Oh yeah,
it's a must at this point.
And then, look, they've got a couple years.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like he's got 2 years left on a 5-year, $140 million extension. Mm-hmm. He carries a $37 million cap hit per Sports Illustrated this coming year. Mm-hmm. And he's still proficient, right? Yes. 65% completion percentage, 25 touchdowns, and 14
he had the
starts.
Injury to the finger last year too. Right. To throw that in there, you know. But it's the same thing. I think Russ and some of these guys, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Looking at Kyler Murray's situation, you know, looking at Lamar Jackson's situation.
Well, interesting thing about the Kyler Murray situation is Steve Keim. The GM there in Arizona has said that's not how we do business.
Ooh.
We do not ever negotiate publicly. And so his agent, Kyler's agent, knew that and still went public with that letter, went through Schefter, went through the whole nine.
With the typo.
That's exactly the opposite. Yeah, with the typo. That's exactly the opposite of how Arizona said they want to do business. I don't know what that necessarily indicates.
Yeah.
I just found it fascinating.
Okay, let's go. What does it indicate? You need us. It's pretty much what he's saying.
Kyler is saying.
Needs Arizona. No. Arizona's saying you need us. You can't get a deal if we don't want to. And the fact that you try to put us on Front Street for the world to see with your open letter to the organization, I'll make you wait another year. And I'll put the 5th year on you. I mean, they got Colt McCoy in the background. I mean, they got weapons around him. He did win while Kyler was out also. So that's a very sticky situation. I do think a little bit of the cleanup of that letter was to say he wants to be committed to him, but it's too little too late almost in a sense when it comes down to Kyler and Arizona. It will get done. If it's me, I make him wait a little bit, Jay. I'll be completely honest with you. Does he deserve it? Yeah, because he is your number 1 overall pick and has pretty much checked every box on his plan in his playing career so far. It's just weird with an H, you know?
Giants GM said everything's on the table, including we'll listen to you if you want Saquon.
I saw that.
So there's a couple teams that immediately jump to mind, and I've seen them already mentioned. Buffalo. That would be disgusting.
Need it.
If he's healthy and they were able to get him.
Yeah.
And then Baltimore's mentioned.
They got enough running back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw Marcus Spears say Baltimore's perfect. Imagine what he could do there. I'm like, well, look at what they've already got. That's the last thing he needs, another guy to run the ball. I know they would probably shuttle off a Gus Edwards or whoever else at that point, but Is that the need? Can y'all get a wide receiver?
And if
can you get one? There's so many of them. Can you get one?
Unless it's a three-team trade or getting Saquon to send him to another team. My thing is Marcus Spears say that, but he got to realize the AFC North is a pretty tough division to run in also. Look at his environment. And also look at the O-line of Baltimore too. I don't know if they are the Baltimore Ravens offensive line of pass. They got some holes they got to fill in. He lost Zeus in the draft. That Al retired. I think he's retiring this year. Al is done this year. They got to find a left tackle. Still looking for Marshall Yanda a replacement. Center, I think, is a free agent this year too. So you add Saquon, but what about the O-line that's got a block for him? And to your point, get Lamar receiver. Period. That run game is cute until is not. That's the thing about the NFL right now. That's the reason why I think we're talking about a Malik Willis, who's a guy that can throw and run the ball. The more weapons you get, the more dangerous your team is. Kansas City exposed it to everybody. And then you had the Bucs expose it to everybody. And then you had the Rams this year expose that narrative to everybody. Justin Herbert is probably in the front office saying, hey, coach, I really appreciate it if you get me another one. I need another receiver. Give me a good running back. Like, those are the conversations that are being had right now. Another running back for Baltimore is like, okay, well, I'll see you in the postseason.
That's just stupid.
Yeah. See,
Buffalo makes all the sense in the world for Saquon.
They do.
If they can make it work.
Two-headed monster with that?
Well, just think about him and Allen.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you've got Diggs and Dawson Knox, who's coming off a really good year, maybe with even more space to operate.
Now, we're talking about teams that's not the Titans.
But again,
you need to be in that same boat with everybody else.
Season of lies.
Of that conversation we just had, who had the biggest lie of it all, Russ?
The biggest lie is this. I haven't read this one yet.
Oh, there's more? Is it Christmas in March?
People may not like the overall record, but he's had 8 head coaches and 8 coordinators his first 8 years. He beat Jacksonville their best year, beat Tennessee their big year for us in Arizona, and he's been in the system now. I don't have a problem there, and I'll let Kyle continue to grow. Either one, though, he's never played with a team this good. He's got all the respect in the locker room that he can have. That is Bruce Arians talking about Blaine Gabbert.
I'll fight BA.
That
I thought
is a lie.
I thought she was going to say somebody like Kirk Cousins.
People may not like the overall record, but he's never had a team this good. The locker room, he's got all the respect in the locker room that he can have.
Roll my eyes.
We dealt with that. We had Blaine Gabbert here.
How deep I gotta dig for you to pipe down?
Rolls my eyes.
Gabbert has started 48 NFL games since being taken 10th by the Jags in 2011. You know what the record is in the games that he started?
No, what are they?
I can tell you he's lost 35 of them.
I hate to laugh at that man's pain, but no, Jack. He also got a Super Bowl. I got to get that to him. He's his touchdown to interception ratio. You know what it is? 50 TDs, 47 interceptions.
Hey, he's above the line.
Barely.
Blaine Arians, bro. Tom Brady, not going to let him play anywhere else. If he wants to come back, he'll play with us. Doors wide open for him. Can we let Tom retire? Is it possible?
I don't know what.
Or are we just going to keep on rolling down this train until Brady's actually deceased?
You silly.
And even then, they're like, you know what? There's a lot of medical things that are being done these days. But Undertaker him out of the casket and put him out there at WrestleMania 45.
So with Blaine Gabbert's college, though, it wasn't even impressive then, Missouri. At Missouri. His first year of starting, first full year of starting is 2009. 262 completions, 445. Basis completion percentage, 58.8, 3,500 yards with 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The year he went the number 10 overall pick, he was 63.4%, 3,100 yards with 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. 16-9 ain't the greatest, and he's only did the exact same thing in the NFL too. He is who we thought he was at this point.
He's a backup quarterback.
His best year was I'm guessing his sophomore, junior year, or his junior year. Like that picking him top 10.
Truth be told, if you're about to have like a massive reset, if you're about to lose some guys, you got, Marpet retiring at 28, and you got all this stuff happening in Tampa Bay. I'm going to play Kyle Trask this year and just see what you got.
Too. Get you a better quarterback next year.
You're not winning the Super Bowl there this year.
No.
You may lose Chris Godwin. Maybe you franchise tag him and you keep him around, but you've got weapons. But if you can't attract one of these free agent guys that Buck was saying, speculative, the way everything you're hearing at the combine, they're not really expecting these guys to move.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to get one of those guys, I want to see if Kyle Trask can play or not. I know Blaine Gabbert. I know what Blaine Gabbert is.
I know what that is.
And that's not going to win you a Super Bowl. It's not going to win you a division. It'll win you a couple of games. But I want to put the young guy in there just to see what's the harm at this point.
I mean, you don't get washed out of Jacksonville for no particular reason other than the fact that you're not good.
No particular reason.
I mean, he did 1 year here, 1 year in Arizona. He jumped on with Tampa Bay as a backup, as a clipboard quarterback. Like, let's be serious here. I get it. It's round one. He's the quarterback. He deserves an opportunity. But sometimes just call them what they are. If they're just not that good, that's all right. Another narrative that's being painted, too, is the Mitch Trubisky. You hearing
Mitch
that?
Trubisky for Washington?
Oh, my gosh. You were in Buffalo saying about him from being on practice squad? I've talked to numerous GMs, and it says that Mitch Trubisky isn't a backup quarterback. He's a starter.
The Nagy must be the worst because, boy, they did a good job of making Trubisky look like he was a 50-50 quarterback at best.
Trash. Hot garbage. This was from Jordan Schultz. This came out 2/28/22. Mitch Trubisky drawing lots of free agent buzz. Several teams, Commanders, Steelers, and Saints, are all interested in the former number 2 pick, sources say. Trubisky is still just 27. Bills loved, all caps, having him. And several execs told me Mitch is viewed as a starting quarterback right now.
He would get eaten alive in a couple of those markets you just mentioned.
Here's the second part of this tweet. A few things Trubisky has going for him. Many around the league view his fourth season / lack of development with the Bears as a Matt Nagy problem. He's an elite athlete, even by NFL quarterback standards. Sitting a year in Buffalo has helped him both on the field and in preparation. That's because we didn't see you play.
It's amazing how much better he got by not playing.
and he took the stress off himself of being the starter, so it makes it easy for you locker room to love you.
Cool. This is all this is, man.
You know what it is.
Season of Lies.
The shirt's got to be made. We got to start wearing the shirts
we can do it.
I need to go and get that trademark.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We need a motivation now.
Young Ink.
Yeah. Inky Johnson will finish us off like he always does on Wednesdays. He'll put a smile on your face on this. You know what? You walk outside, you might feel that way too. It's going to be over 70 today.
Let's go.
JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
I choose violence.
quickly, let me set you up for the midweek motivation before we bring Ink in. Some of our listeners choosing violence, talking about things that happened to them in childhood and all this other stuff. Alex tweets us, says, my sister left a skateboard strategically placed at the bottom of our staircase for me to find because she wanted to see what would happen. It went about as well as you'd expect. That's Home Alone style right there. It was early to mid-90s, Justin says. We got our first car with power windows. Sister was getting on my nerves one Wednesday night at church. She stuck her head out of the window to tell him to hurry, so I turned that Ford into a medieval guillotine, rolled that broad's head up.
Oh, my gosh.
Repeating Blake, after lunch in 7th grade, a kid kicked in the stall. My friend, he proceeded to run with his pants down and tackle him into the urinal. Boy.
Yeah.
Violence has been chosen. Violence has been chosen. Tomorrow, indeed. Tomorrow on the show, Coach Mack live from the Combine. We'll have plenty more. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will make a decision.
I doubt it.
Some interesting comments about his selfishness being made this morning on ESPN about how it affects everybody else on the team. And today is a day where some of those guys could get more money.
By the way, I need to make an admission before we have Inky on. This drop right here,
I choose violence.
Inky didn't actually say that.
It sounds so much like him, though.
Well, no, what Inky said, and that is Inky right there. He says, I do not choose violence today. And, of course,
I choose violence.
Okay, I knew it sounded like Ink. I was like, wait, I can't imagine him saying he chooses violence.
I don't know how that happened.
I choose violence.
That's Inky that's Inky when he was playing.
Yes, that's right.
We do welcome in Inky Johnson. Ink, what's going on?
Oh, man, what's up? Y'all got me, man. Y'all got me.
Be careful, Ink.
I was listening. I was like, man, is that me?
Yes, it
When's
is.
the last time you chose violence, Ink?
Ooh.
Oh, man, yesterday. Yesterday. It's in me. It's in me. I just don't pull it out often. It's in me. It's definitely there.
Hey, tell them, let the smooth taste fool you, Ink.
Ink, we're going to turn it over to you, brother. We're good, man. We're going to turn it over to you. We've been ratchet enough for one day.
Oh, yeah, we have.
I got you, man. I got you. I got a quote I want to start us off with. It reads, it's all in your mind. Whatever you hold in your mind will tend to occur in your life. If you continue to believe as you have always believed, you will continue to act as you have always acted. You will continue to get what you have always gotten. If you want different results in your life or your work, all you have to do is change your mind, change your thought process, and it eventually changes your actions. And so I was talking about being kind with some individuals, right? We was talking about humility, we was talking about pride, and we was talking about being kind. And the basis of the conversation and dialogue was we never know what people are going through, right? We never know what people are dealing with. We never know what people are facing, right? Because everybody we meet is fighting a battle that we know nothing about. And the quote says, if you ever have to choose between being kind and being right, choose being kind and you'll be right every single time. And so often as people, if we have information, if we have a knowledge base on a certain subject, we want to be right, right? If we get into a debate, we want to be right. We want to prove to the other person, I know what I'm talking about. We want to be right. And a lot of times in life, when we get into debates or we get into situations where we're trying to prove ourselves, we don't often listen, right? Or we listen with the intent to reply and not the intent to understand. And so I want to land the plane with this, and never forget this. Humility and pride are two powerful forces, but oftentimes with dialogue, pride is concerned with who is right. Humility is concerned with what is right. When people are going through things and you have to choose between being kind and being right, choose being kind every single time and you'll always be right. Always listen with the intent to understand and not just the intent to reply, because we never know what people are dealing with. Go serve as a blessing, go serve as a source of encouragement, and go do a random act of kindness today and go out and be great. That's my time. Peace.